Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pokemon. Sign in at the start of the game, Koga Ninja. Chapter 81. Young people are all about saving face, and no one wants to admit that they are inferior to others. Even if there is a difference in academic performance, when it comes to physical fitness, no one wants to be inferior in front of such a beautiful teacher. Therefore, to be fair, Yang Qianshan's move is very effective. But she didn't expect that she would meet Shu Mu, a special case. In Shu Mu's eyes, what is face? Can it be eaten? How much does it cost per pound? You want Shu Mu to run in circles until he has no strength, and then come and tell her his name obediently? That's impossible. I, Shu Mu, am rebellious and playful. Running in circles, only fools do it. Since student Shu Mu is injured, he cannot participate in group activities. Yang Qianshan had a smile on her face and sighed sadly, as if it was a huge loss for Shu Mu not to be able to run laps. Her words were not meant for Shu Mu, but for the other students who had just ran out not far away. Look, Shu Mu's behavior is individualistic, and he is separated from your collective. Don't learn from him. Sure enough, after hearing her words, the students who had just been a little shaken regained their enthusiasm. Amid the slogans of Sports Committee Member 1234, every step they took was full of motivation. It was as if they were not running in circles now, but completing a great and glorious task. Shu Mu secretly sighed in his heart, this woman is extraordinary. His methods and scheming are indeed good, and he is qualified to fight with him. Student Shu Mu, please rest here. You don't need to participate in lap running in this class. With that said, Yang Qianshan handed Shu Mu a bottle of mineral water, and then looked at Koga Ninja intentionally or unintentionally. Oh, classmate Shu Mu, your elf seems to want to train with everyone. When Koga Ninja heard about the training, his eyes instantly lit up. Cool, I hope to train myself. Shu Mu slapped his forehead and was speechless. How could he forget that his frog is a training freak? It's over, she caught the flaw, and I'm afraid a violent attack will follow. Shu Mu thought to himself, but on the surface he looked helpless. There is nothing we can do, Teacher Yang. Who told me that I can't accompany him because of my physical inconvenience? Shu Mu pretended to be a pity, shook his head and sighed helplessly. Yang Qianshan smiled. She smiled sweetly and said slowly, since Shu Mu can't participate in the lap race, it's okay to command the elves to fight, right? Why don't I let my Gardevoir and the Koga Ninja have a battle? I'll treat it as training for the Koga Ninja. Shu Mu was stunned. Battle. Good guy, so this is your purpose. Cool, good fight, come on, the sword below is already very thirsty. Glancing at his stupid frog, Shu Mu was speechless. Come on, it's come to this point, can it be done if he doesn't agree? Everyone has applied for a battle. If Shu Mu refuses, will he still be considered a qualified trainer? Besides, he didn't want to disappoint the silly frog. Since this guy wants to become stronger and likes to fight, then let's fight. It's not like I'm afraid of this female teacher. Well, Koga Ninja also wants to ask the teacher's Gardevoir for advice. Shu Mu agreed, and Yang Qianshan smiled with satisfaction. Then let's wait until everyone finishes running the lap and let's start the battle before get out of class ends. A class is not 45 minutes long, and practical training classes are different from other classes. There are no breaks in the practical training class, and it lasts all morning or afternoon. That's why Yang Qianshan was confident that these students would all be able to return to her place before get out of class ended, running until they were exhausted. Shu Mu had no objection, he could fight if he wanted. It didn't matter to him, as long as the beautiful teacher didn't cry after losing. After all, Shu Mu has never lost a battle except with Kyle. When it comes to fighting, he is 100% confident. But it's the same thing. When it comes to fighting, Yang Qianshan is also ready. Yang Qianshan had watched the first half of Shu Mu's battle in the Changpan Secret Realm. She has a general understanding of Shu Mu's strength. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so confident to do things. More than an hour later, Lin Zilong was the last to return to the starting point. Monitor of Class 16, Lin Zilong. After using his last strength to say this, Lin Zilong staggered and almost fell down. Several classmates quickly stepped forward and supported Lin Zilong, who was dripping with sweat. Shu Mu curled his lips at the side. He was still too young. What was the use of working so hard? Do you think that if you persist until the last one, a beautiful teacher will take another look at you? Haha, naive. It turns out you're the squad leader. No wonder you have such excellent physical fitness. Take a break and drink some water slowly. Yang Qianqun said with a surprised look on her face, and personally brought a bottle of mineral water to Lin Zilong and put it in his hand. As if to say, I remember you. In fact, her thoughts are all on Xu Mu now. He was thinking about how to fight Xu Mu in the next battle. Lin Zilong took the water with a look of surprise and panic on his face. He was flattered and said thank you to the teacher, and his heart blossomed. Poor, he is still a boy after all. Okay, my first practical training session with everyone is basically over. But at the end, I want to have a battle with classmate Xu Mu to bring our first class to a successful conclusion. Yang Qianqun said with a smile, staring at Xu Mu as if staring at her prey. Xu Mu was not afraid of the stage. He stood up openly and said to Koga Ninja, "Come on, Koga Ninja, come to life." As soon as he heard that there was going to be a fight, Koga Ninja immediately became energetic. A cart stood up from the ground, flicked his tongue scarf back, clapped his hands and shouted, "Cool. I got it, little master. When it comes to fighting, I, Koga Ninja, am the best at it." The students were a little overwhelmed. They looked at Xu Mu and then at the Koga Ninja, with surprised expressions on their faces. It was Lu Shuo who was the first to ask, "Xu Mu, don't you have a dragon?" Xu Mu smiled and said, "Yes, what's wrong?" Obviously, he forgot that the students in class 16 are not trainers yet. Even if they are new trainers, they are not recognized by the alliance. So you can only have one elf. And Xu Mu, as a veritable trainer, can naturally have multiple elves. Ah, by the way, I am a new trainer, and Koga Ninja is my initial spirit. Oops. As soon as Xu Mu said these words, everyone was relieved. After being relieved, there was an uproar again. I can't accept it. We are all human beings, so why can Xu Mu be so good? I graduated from Kyoto Academy this year and am currently training with the goal of the Tenno Challenge. Peak Trainer Yang Qianqun officially challenges you. The levels of trainers are mainly divided into new trainers, which is Xu Mu's current level. In the future, through certification in the academy or at various alliance centers, you can be upgraded to junior trainer, intermediate trainer, senior trainer and elite trainer. After elite trainers, there is a more systematic and detailed division. First of all, there are outstanding trainers. Most of the trainer elves in this group are at the level of false kings. Then there are the peak trainers, whose elf strength is between the king of heaven and the master. Specifically, the peak trainer needs to pass the king challenge, get in the top 3, and become the king trainer. After that, they have proven their strength and will gain a high social status. After becoming king trainers, they will be able to participate in the World King competition, break into the top 16, and obtain titles. Officially become a venerable. Therefore, being a peak trainer can be regarded as a position that is neither above nor below. Most of them are aiming for the king challenge, hoping to get into the top 3 in the competition and become a king trainer. This is exactly the case for Yang Qianqun. Xu Mu, new trainer. Seeing Yang Qianqun formally reporting her name, Xu Mu also became serious. But what he said was very unfair. Are you, a new trainer, going to fight against top trainers, or are they going to apply to you? This is unreasonable, right? Which new trainer has an elf with strength comparable to that of a master? Okay, Gardevoir, come on. Yang Qianqun didn't care about that unreasonable flaw, put on a fighting stance and looked at Xu Mu. Xu Mu didn't know it until he took a closer look and realized that there was something about this beautiful teacher. Judging from the color of your coat and eyes, this Gardevoir of yours is at least at the peak of the Heavenly King's strength. While Xu Mu was praising the other party, he secretly told Koga Ninja to get serious. The opponent is very strong. If you are careless, be careful of capsizing in the gutter. Gardevoir, who is at the peak of the Heavenly King, is definitely a powerful opponent. Cool, it's not a big problem, let's see how to capture the opponent. Koga Ninja always maintains absolute fighting enthusiasm no matter what time. He will be even more excited when he knows his opponent is strong. Come on, Bond transformation. Gardevoir, Mega Evolution. The two sides did not choose to test, and started to evolve directly, showing their first trump card. The first is Gardevoir. She was originally at the peak of the king's strength. After Mega Evolution, her strength has jumped thousands of miles, directly reaching the early stage of Master level. And Shu Emu's Koga Ninja is even more extreme. The strength that was originally in the middle stage of Heavenly King actually reached the early stage of Master in one fell swoop after evolution. The strength is on par with Gardevoir. What? Although Yang Qianqun had seen Shu Emu's Koga Ninja, she was still inevitably shocked by this scene. She also didn't expect that this special evolution of the Koga Ninja frog could actually make a qualitative leap in strength. This Shu Mu is indeed a difficult opponent. Shu Mu and Yang Qianqun looked at each other and said almost at the same time. Koga Ninja, Spiral Water Shuriken. Gardevoir, the Phantom Light interferes with the opponent's attack. The fighting methods of Koga Ninja are almost fixed, they are all old routines. First, form the Shadow Clone technique, and then a group of Spiral Water Shurikens blast towards the opponent for free. But Gardevoir is a super elf after all, and her Phantom Light blocked all of Koga Ninja's Spiral Water Shuriken. At the same time, he also attacked Koga Ninja through the gap of the Spiral Water Shuriken. Evil Wave. Shu Mu was not polite and directly ordered the Koga Ninja to fight back. It is not enough to be beaten passively. We must put the initiative in our own hands. Cool. With sharp eyes, Koga Ninja used the Wave of Evil at the moment when the Shadow Clone was defeated. Then the attack of Phantom Light came, and Koga Ninja was not even harmed at all. What happened? Gardevoir, teleport away. While ordering Gardevoir to dodge the skill, Yang Qianqun's brain was working rapidly. Although Koga Ninja's attributes are water and evil, he is not purely evil. When faced with superpower attacks, even if he is immune, he should only be immune to most of them, and he will still be harmed. But now, Koga Ninja can actually withstand Gardevoir's attack without any injuries. This is unreasonable. However, Shu Mu doesn't care about this. Now is the battle. He would not foolishly explain to Yang Qianqun that the characteristic of my Koga Ninja frog is that it can be changed freely, and so on. That's just something an idiot would do. He's not stupid. Koga Ninja, take advantage of the moment and use secret attacks on vital points. Taking advantage of your illness to kill you is the right way to start the battle. Koga Ninja didn't hesitate at all. The moment Gardevoir landed on the ground using teleportation, he turned directly into a ball of shadow. The evil energy exploded and struck directly behind Gardevoir. Gardevoir, use protection. The light green protective shield lit up, and Gardevoir blocked the Koga Ninja's attack at the critical moment. It's just, if you can block it once, can you block it the second time? Provocative. Shu Mu is not an idiot. As a superpower elf, Gardevoir's speed and variability are far greater than that of Koga Ninja. The opponent's tactical choices are extremely diverse. Yang Qianqun just didn't react for a while, and she still didn't know the characteristics of the Koga Ninja frog. Once the opponent adapts and fully utilizes Gardevoir's strengths and uses tactics such as Magic Space, Koga Ninja will instantly fall into a passive situation. Therefore, he took advantage of Gardevoir's use of protection to let Koga Ninja use provocation. What a plan! For 3 rounds, my Gardevoir cannot use non-offensive moves. You are worried about my super tactical system, I know how to target you. As for Yang Qianqun, she is also a genius. She can become a top trainer at such a young age. She is truly talented. Just with Shu Emu's provocation, she thought of the correct way to fight. It's a pity that she is still young. 3 rounds. Enough. Gardevoir, predict the future, and then fire energy balls in succession. Don't give Koga Ninja the chance to get close. The moment Yang Qianqun gave the order, Shu Mu smiled directly. Opportunity, isn't this coming? Do you think I didn't know you could use future prediction? Want to take advantage of 3 rounds to counterattack the moment the provocation effect disappears? Alas, as expected, Teacher Yang, you are still too young. Koga Ninja, lightning flashes, and then shadow ball. Shu Mu smiled proudly. His Koga Ninja was not a pure physical attacker. As a frog with extremely good racial values, his special attack is an aspect that is often overlooked. Since Gardevoir is willing to withstand an attack and still use future sight, let's do it. Koga Ninja blasted past with a shadow ball, and at the same time made a connection with Shu Mu in his heart, turned into a shadow directly, and used secret attack to attack the vital point again. Gardevoir was hit by the shadow ball, but she also managed to launch a ball of psychic power into the sky. This group of mental power will make a sure hit attack on the Koga Ninja after 3 rounds. Shauna. With a scream, the shadow ball and the secret attack hit Gardevoir at the same time. The double damage caused by attribute restraint put Gardevoir, who was not good at physical strength, in an instant into a crisis. Due to the effect of provocation, Gardevoir is currently unable to use changing skills such as teleportation or self-recovery, and the situation is instantly under Shu Emu's control. Provocation, this seemingly inconspicuous common skill even used by many roadside elves, actually played a vital role in this early master battle. This is the ability of a master tactician and the power of Shu Mu. Indeed, when it comes to controlling the timing of combat, we also need to talk about understanding of training. Shu Mu is just a newcomer, not even as good as many newcomers. However, when it comes to fighting, Shu Mu definitely has his own uniqueness. It's really awesome. When Yang Qianchen saw that she was at a disadvantage, not only was she not impatient, but she sincerely praised her. Seeing that Koga Ninja was still pursuing the victory, Yang Qianchen quickly ordered, "Energy Ball," and then used the magic leaf. The energy ball quickly formed in Gardevoir's hand, directly forcing the Koga Ninja who was about to attack again, forcing him to keep the distance between the two sides to avoid the energy ball's attack. Then, the magic leaf arrived late but a sure hit skill that makes Koga Ninja unable to dodge even if he distances himself. This combo of moves perfectly took into account Koga Ninja's actions. If Shu Mu really had no other choice, he could only watch Yang Qianchen win back the victory. Unfortunately, this is Shu Mu. Is there anything he can do? Koga Ninja, Yan Wei. The ability to change freely allows the elf's attributes to temporarily change into attributes using skills. Yan Wei, as a flying skill, not only has a certain hit effect, but also allows the Koga Ninja to avoid most damage from the magic leaves. Achieve the effect of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Shu Mu broke the situation perfectly, counterattacked directly, and regained the initiative. A wave of high-quality blood exchange completely eliminated Gardevoir's already bottomed physical strength. After Koga Ninja used a water shuriken to finish off the attack, Gardevoir fell down gloriously and fell unconscious. Shu Mu won this battle. Using the elf ball to take back Gardevoir, Yang Qianchen smiled bitterly and shook her head. Sure enough, this guy is a monster. Congratulations, classmate Shu Mu, you defeated me, a top trainer. Yang Qianchen knew that many veteran sages had been defeated by Shu Mu, and she, a top trainer, was nothing. But if you lose, you lose. She came to Shu Mu generously and extended her hand. Although Shu Mu won, he did not pretend to compete. After briefly shaking hands with Yang Qianchen, he smiled and said, "Good luck, good luck. It's all the result of this guy's hard work. I didn't do anything." Cool, the little master is the most powerful. Koga Ninja interrupted at the right time, and Shu Mu received it directly into the elf ball. This guy is so talkative. Idiot, excuse me, can I be shocked? Don't worry, you can be shocked, because I'm already stupid. My brain has completely lost the ability to think. Can someone give me a mouthful to wake me up? Forget it, look at the people here, who can give you a mouthful. That's right, speaking of which, I thought Shu Mu was very strong, but I didn't expect him to be so strong. Haha, our new beautiful teacher is actually a top trainer. This is outrageous. And what's even more outrageous than this is that my classmate actually defeated her. I'll go back and tell my dad about this. He can take me to see a psychiatrist. The students' discussion became louder and louder, and in the end they couldn't stand it any longer and started group chat mode. Yang Qianchen and Shu Mu looked at each other helplessly. Indeed, their battle today should give these young children a lot of blows. In a small place like Fengcheng, being able to witness such a battle may be something that many students will never experience in their lifetime. The battles in the early stage of the master's life are only seen on TV a few times a year. Now let them see it with their own eyes, and the two sides of the battle are still people they are familiar with. It's normal to not be able to accept it for a while. Okay, students, please stop discussing. Our first class is over. In the following time, the teacher will give you some training suggestions for each of your elves. Yang Qianchen waited for a while, and when she saw that the voices of discussion had become quieter and the students had come out of their shock, she started to organize things and prepare for the next work. If Yang Qianchen had said before that she would provide training advice to her classmates, elves, these students might have laughed it off and told them to do whatever they were supposed to do. But now, after this battle, everyone knows that Yang Qianchen, a beautiful teacher who looks domineering and sideways, is equally domineering in strength. This made them instantly look forward to Yang Qianchen's guidance. Of course, they do not include Lu Shuo. How smart this little fat guy is. He and Shu Mu are friends, and Shu Mu defeated Yang Qianchen. This means that Shu Mu is stronger than Yang Qianchen. In terms of professionalism, Shu Mu may be more professional than Yang Qianchen. Coupled with his relationship with Shu Mu, why should he sacrifice the near for the distant and compete with dozens of classmates for Yang Qianchen's advice? Can't we just go to Shu Mu directly? Brother, are you tired from the battle just now? Can I give you a leg rub? When Lu Shuo came up, he just flattered him. Brother, the battle just now was so cool. You don't know it. When you commanded the Koga Ninja just now, you looked like Edison. It's so cool. Shu Mu saw Lu Shuo swishing up to him, and he probably guessed what the little fat man was thinking. Do you just want to get some guidance and advice from yourself? Simple, am I, Shu Mu, the kind of person who cares about my own things? You've got a month's worth of homework. Raising a finger, Shu Mu said calmly. Just kidding, if you want me to work for you and take advantage, that doesn't happen. A month's homework, arrange it for me. Lu Shuo nodded quickly, patted his chest and said. Isn't it just a month's homework? Take it easy and leave it to me, Boss Shu. For wealthy students, wouldn't it be nice to just spend money to buy a copy of homework? What a big deal, let alone a month. As long as Shu Mu is happy and he goes to school for a day, Lu Shuo can do his homework for a day. Shu Mu felt a pain in his heart when he saw Lu Shuo agreeing without hesitation. I need less. Seeing the nonchalant look on this little fat guy's face, Shu Mu felt as if he had lost 100 million. Okay, isn't it just to take care of you? It's easy to talk. Shu Mu said with a smile and looked at the little Kirby next to Lu Shuo. After looking at it, he clicked his tongue and said, your family is really rich. Look at this little guy. You feed him too much and he has some symptoms of indigestion. Good guy, little Kirby is a famous big eater. As a result, Lu Shuo, a fool, actually fed him too much. How much do you need to eat for this meal? Shu Mu was speechless when he saw how cute little Kirby was. This is a real rich man, he doesn't understand anything, he just feeds. A good elf was fed alive and turned into a foodie. If Arceus were released into your home, wouldn't you be feeding him like crazy? Tisk tisk tisk, thinking of the foodie in his family, Shu Mu couldn't help but sigh, this guy was born at the wrong time. If he had been with Lu Shuo, he might have lived a happy life where he could put his hands on his shirt and open his mouth. Let's do this. You go back and reduce the meal for the little Kirby. You can't just eat when you're hungry. According to your feeding method, the little Kirby no longer feels hungry. As long as he is not full, he will eat. This is harming him. Over time, he will develop anorexia. I dare not even think about it. How much financial resources would it take to make a little Kirby suffer from anorexia? No, it's not just something you can do with money. Okay, I've written it down, about training. Lu Shuo said while sweating profusely, and cautiously raised his head to glance at Shu Mu. I agreed to Shu Mu's condition of working for a month, just to get Shu Mu's guidance on training. What are you training for? What you have to do now is to control the little Kirby's diet, do you understand? We'll talk about training after he recovers. Shu Mu said impatiently, waving his hand to dismiss the little fat man. I have to learn to train elves myself, so how can I give you advice? As for why you can tell at a glance that the little Kirby is super fat, Shu Mu said that he has a special preference for the Kirby family. No matter which version of the Pokemon game he played in the past, he liked Kirby the most, and would always leave a place for Kirby in the main team. This silly fat man is Shu Mu's favorite elf. It's a pity that he hasn't met the Kirby Beast family since he came to this world, otherwise he would have conquered a suitable one and brought it to the team. Well, it's not like I don't want it. It's just that Shu Mu is worried that he can't afford it. This guy costs too much money. Although Shu claims to be a super second generation, this cheap dad seems to be only good at strength. In terms of economy, it didn't help Shu even a dime. Otherwise, why would he and Shu's mother have lived such an ordinary life these years? The money Shu spends now is still the same as when he sold the Charmander elf egg. As for his journey, flying, staying in villas, etc., it was all for free. Actually, elf training is mainly based on feeling. Once you feel the effect of training, it will be good. Look, I don't have a master, nor do I have any strong inheritance, but why I am so strong is mainly because of my elf consciousness. To be honest, my elves have their own training methods. They are very conscious. I won't sleep every night unless I watch them. Shu felt a little soft-hearted when he saw the little fat man looking at him pitifully. Okay, then reluctantly give him some advice. Shu is such a kind person. Shu was like this when he was in Changpan's secret realm. When he met someone he didn't like, he would teach him on behalf of his parents. It's the same now, since the little fat man begged pitifully on his head. There is no other way, just be kind and be a good person. So, if you want to become a strong person, talent and luck are both indispensable. Look at my elves, all of their qualifications are those of kings. This is something that many venerables cannot do. My elf team is what they dream of having. However, if it's just like this, I won't be able to be so powerful in a short period of time. The main thing is my elf self-awareness. I am not humble. They really take the initiative to train themselves and learn skills on their own. They have no need of me at all. Shu said, and when he turned around, he found that the little fat man was lying on the ground autistically. Holding his little Kirby, the little fat man wanted to cry without tears. This Shu is too much. Forget about showing off, just pretend to be a good person. When you do that, you still need to establish that, right? Why don't you let people live? You said your elf can train itself. Why don't you say you are a god? The more the little fat man thought about it, the more aggrieved he became, and he almost cried. Several students who heard their conversation had different expressions, and for a moment they didn't know what to do. What's going on? This Shu is so good at showing off. Actually, school life is generally good. It's just that you guys are too troublemaking and ruined the school's gravity room. Isn't this free training room nice to him? After returning home, Shu summarized his day's campus life. Overall, he felt good. Except for a few insignificant flaws and hiccups. Cool, didn't you say it yourself, little master? You must be able to practice using skills freely under triple gravity. Koga Ninja wasn't talking back, he was just telling the truth. Shu was stunned for a moment, thought about it carefully, and quickly shook his head and said, "Impossible, where did I say such a thing? You heard it wrong. I will let you use skills in the training room. Impossible, impossible." As he spoke, Shu kept shaking his head. Staring straight at Koga Ninja, Shu wanted to tell him with the sincerity in his eyes that he had never said this. Koga Ninja was a little unsure when Shu said this. "Cool Gua, you really didn't say that." Shu clicked his tongue and pretended to be unhappy. "You still don't believe me." When Koga Ninja heard what Shu said, he didn't dare to question it anymore. He could only hold his head and hide aside to wonder. "Did you say it or not? I think you said that, right? I can't remember something clearly." "Forget it, just pretend that I heard it wrong." When Shu saw Koga Ninja starting to doubt himself, a smile appeared on his lips. "Humph, young man, you still dare to question me. This is funny, how could I admit that it was my own fault that the gravity chamber was destroyed?" Opening the map, Shu began to study it. Collecting 16 municipal gym badges within 2 months is quite a challenge. Not to mention anything else, the round trip alone takes a lot of time. But there is nothing we can do about it. The King of Heaven challenge is about to begin. If Shu cannot collect 16 badges in time and qualify for the competition, he will have to wait until next year. In addition to the badge from the lava gym that I already have, I'm still 15 short of it. I hope Cheap Daddy can be more reliable and I can go out quickly. Otherwise, this King's challenge will be a no-brainer. Shu is now in a low-key state, and it is not easy for him to run around now. Mainly because Lugia is so attractive. He now holds little Lugia in his hand. If there is no official recognition and the name is not justified, then everyone will understand the reason why it is a crime. Shumyu can only touch the powerful men at the venerable level now, but it will be difficult for him to go up. Therefore, for his own safety and the safety of Lugia, Shumyu had better not run around. All kinds of unexpected accidents are prone to happen. What he has to do now is to go to school honestly and wait for Chief Daddy and the Chief of Dongtu to study the situation on his side and let the officials classify Lugia as his trainer. Only in this way can he have a nominal ownership, and he can be regarded as Lugia's legal guardian. If someone else comes to make up their mind, it's against the law. Koga Ninja, let's go. I'll take you out to sea. There is a pretty good training gym in Fengcheng. Shumyu saw that Koga Ninja had nothing to do and was doing push-ups by himself. Only then did he remember that he had promised the elves to arrange training for them. The gym is a kind of inheritance. After the alliance recognizes it, those with the strength of a king trainer or above can open a gym and pass on a unique set of training methods they have created. At the same time, the gym leader is also responsible for protecting the safety of the people in the area. Just like a certain guy back then, he was beaten 6 times by Koga Ninja. That's not to say he's a bad guy, he's really good at it. Although he was so useless, in the end, when Scarface Charizard came out to cause trouble, this guy took action without hesitation and was even willing to protect Shumyu. This is the meaning of the gym, the responsibility of the gym owner. The training hall is different. This is a place purely for profit. Here, trainers only need to pay a certain fee to use various training equipment and training rooms in the training hall. Although Shumyu is reluctant to part with money, he has no choice. Since he promised Koga Ninja and the others, he must keep his word. Cool, train, marvelous. When Koga Ninja heard Shumyu say the word, training, he became energetic. Without saying a word, he stopped doing push-ups and came to Shumyu with a somersault. He was ready. Okay, you guy, I really can't do anything to you. Seeing the burning passion in Koga Ninja's eyes, he impatiently urged himself to go out quickly. Shumyu could only smile bitterly and started to change clothes. Mom, I'm going out for a while. Well, be safe. Mothers are always like this. They don't care how far their children go out, but they will always remind them in their ears to be safe and remember to go home. These are all details in life. If he hadn't experienced his previous life, I'm afraid Shumyu wouldn't care. But now Shumyu is a time traveler after all. He inadvertently heard this advice that he had never paid attention to when he was a child, and suddenly became a little distracted. Okay, I'll be back early. With a sunny smile on his face again, Shumyu agreed with a smile, closed the door with Koga Ninja and left. After Shumyu left, Shu's mother was also a little absent-minded. She stared blankly in the direction of the door. After a long time, he smiled and said, I feel like I have grown up when I go out. Standing at the door of the YE Training Center, Shumyu looked up at the huge door plaque. After all, it is the largest training center in Fengcheng. YE has hundreds of stores in Dongtu and has a pretty good reputation. He also has a good reputation among trainers. If you train here, it can meet the various needs of the Shumyu elves. Shumu's elves are already at the level of kings, and the various equipment required for training also require certain quality requirements. Come on, let's go in and take a look. Shumyu led the Koga Ninja inside. When the receptionist saw Shumyu and the Koga Ninja, she quickly bowed and said, Hello, distinguished guests, welcome to the YE Training Center. For a moment, Shumyu felt as if he had returned to the bathing center in his previous life. I almost blurted out, let's get a set meal for 199. Hello, this is my first time coming to the training gym. Can you please introduce it to me? Putting aside other thoughts in his heart for the time being, Shumyu came to the welcoming lady and asked. The young lady wore a professional uniform and tied up her long hair, revealing her delicate oval face. Although she can't be called a goddess who can conquer the whole country, she can still be rated as a high-quality beauty with an 8 or 9 score. To be the front desk, that's more than enough. Hello sir, please register first, and then I will arrange for professional guides to take you to familiarize yourself with the infrastructure of our YE Training Center. Shumyu nodded, feeling a little disappointed. I thought it was this pretty young lady who was showing me around. Forget it, I have Serona, I can't look at other pretty girls anymore. Good. After agreeing, Shumyu stepped forward to complete the identity registration. In the column of strength, he checked the new trainer, and in the column of elf strength, he selected the king level. Sir, please wait a moment. The staff responsible for guiding us will be here soon. The young lady smiled sweetly, and while talking to Shumyu, she began to confirm Shuemyu's registration form. Sir, you filled it in wrongly. Pointing to the column of elf strength, the young lady asked gently. Shumyu was stunned and took a closer look. That's right, it's the king level. The young lady was a little embarrassed, and the professional smile on her face was a little frozen. Sir, please stop joking, okay. We need to recommend a training area for you based on your elf's true strength. Thinking that Shumyu was making trouble unreasonably, the young lady said seriously and solemnly. Shumyu scratched his head, he wasn't making trouble. Really, I am just a new trainer, but my elf is indeed at the level of a king. That's right, I didn't make a fuss. Mr. Shu, please be careful. We at YE keep the identity information of our customers absolutely confidential and will not leak any of your information, so please don't. Xiao-san, what's wrong? The young lady was about to continue persuading him to fill in the correct information when a middle-aged man came from a distance. Seeing the young lady talking excitedly, I quickly stepped forward to ask about the situation. Manager Wang, it's like this. This Mr. Shu is a new trainer, but his elf strength is at the level of a king. I am explaining to him the confidentiality principle of our YE. Manager Wang probably understood after hearing what the young lady said. It must be that Mr. Shu didn't want to reveal his strength, so he filled out the registration form casually. Hello sir, I am the manager here. Manager Wang motioned to the young lady to stand aside first, then stepped forward to greet Shumyu in person. Shumyu nodded, a little speechless, ready to see what Manager Wang was going to say to him. If he is still asked to change his information, then Shumyu is not going to train here. So complicated. I'm a new trainer, but I have an elf with the strength of a king. What's wrong? Do I have to lie for the sake of training? That's right, Mr. Shu, the YE Training Center currently has an event that requires the strength of a king to participate. If you want to participate, you might as well give it a try. Manager Wang is still very good at it, he just launched a king activity. This event is to compete with a top trainer in our gym. If you win, you can use any training equipment in our training gym for free for a month. When Shumyu heard this, he laughed. Okay, I can try. Free bill equals free prostitution. I, Shumyu, like free prostitution the most. Isn't it just a battle? Peak trainers are trainers who have not finished in the top 3 in the King's Challenge, or who have not yet participated in the King's Challenge. These peak trainers generally have king-level elves, but their strength may be weaker than those of the king trainers. Just like the beautiful teacher Yang Qianshin in the practical training class, she is the top trainer preparing for the King of Heaven Challenge. She already has the strength of a master, but she can't use the title of king trainer yet because she hasn't participated in the King Challenge yet. Okay, Mr. Shu, please wait a moment. I'm going to contact the top trainer at our training hall now. After Manager Wang finished speaking, he poured Shumyu a cup of coffee from the front desk and motioned for Shumyu to sit on the sofa and take a rest. Then go back to the front desk and dial a number. Manager Wang, it's not that we don't have this. Shish, what do you know? Shut up. Seeing the young lady at the front desk asking questions without knowing why, Manager Wang quickly motioned for her to be quiet. If this Mr. Shu doesn't have a heavenly king elf and just filled out the registration form randomly, then he probably won't participate in the event I'm talking about. In this way, during later training, we can roughly deduce his true strength without affecting the customer experience. But he just agreed to the activities I mentioned, which means that Mr. Shu is at least a peak trainer. He is so young and has a king spirit. His future can be said to be limitless. If we can make friends with him, not to mention free of charge for a month, but for a lifetime. This is the instruction from the chairman's daughter, please stop talking nonsense and be quiet for a while. After saying that, Manager Wang's call was also connected. He quickly bent down and said respectfully, Ms. Yang, are you free now? A new trainer has come to our training hall who is said to have the power of a king. I hope you can have a battle with him. This is also what you instructed before. You want to fight against a strong peak trainer. I just want to take this opportunity to let you try the real situation of Mr. Shu. I don't know what was said on the other end of the phone, and Manager Wang quickly hung up the phone. Not long after, a tall and beautiful woman walked into the training hall. Manager Wang, where is the person? This beauty wears sunglasses and a red-pink motorcycle suit, which fully reflects her perfect figure. If nothing else, just looking at these legs is enough to make countless men confused, fascinated, and nervous. This is Mr. Shu. When Manager Wang saw the beauty coming, he hurriedly said, Miss Yang, he is the opponent you are going to fight later. With that said, Manager Wang brought the beauty in motorcycle clothing to Shu Mu. Then, Shu Mu sighed secretly. It's actually Teacher Yang. What a guy. I haven't felt anything while wearing sportswear during the day, but now I put on a motorcycle suit like this, my body is like this, and my legs are like this. Just 2 words, wow. Yang Qianqun was also stunned, it was actually Shu Mu. But she soon felt relieved. Fengcheng is such a big place, how many trainers with the strength of a king can be there? Manager Wang, please go back first. I know Mr. Shu, he is my student. Yang Qianqun's fighting spirit was instantly doused by Shu Mu's basin of water. After dismissing Manager Wang indifferently, Yang Qianqun sat down opposite Shu Mu, crossing her legs. Classmate Shu, are you here for training? Shu Mu smiled bitterly. Fengcheng was really small. It's really cool that you can meet the teacher by chance when you come to training. Yes, Teacher Yang works here. Hearing this, Yang Qianqun shook her head and said, No, I didn't take any private work behind the school's back. This is my dad's training gym, and I belong to half the boss. Raising her head arrogantly, Yang Qianqun looked at Shu Mu and said jokingly, Manager Wang should have told you that if you defeat me, you will be exempted from the bill for a month. Shu Mu nodded honestly. He didn't expect that it was Yang Qianqun who was responsible for this. Then, Teacher Yang, do we still want to fight? Today you. Shu Mu wanted to say that you have already lost once today, but thinking that she is the daughter of the boss here after all, she would be kicked out if she said this, so she quickly shut up. Seeing that Shu Mu actually mentioned this matter, Yang Qianqun could only helplessly shake her head and smile bitterly. No, you can just waive the bill. Shu Mu quickly thanked him, and then asked doubtfully. Why did Teacher Yang return to Fengcheng to be a training teacher in a school? It seems that you are not very short of money, right? Yang Qianqun spread her hands. I'm not short of money. The main thing is that I have nothing to do and am free. Actually, I was preparing for the King of Heaven challenge, so I returned to Fengcheng and conducted daily training in my father's training gym. As for this event, I wanted to compete and communicate with some strong locals in Fengcheng, so I asked Manager Wang to pay attention to it on a whim. After chatting with Yang Qianqun for a while, Shu Mu decided to go and see the situation in the training hall. It happened that Yang Qianqun was fine, so she decided to take Shu Mu for a visit. This lava training room is mainly used by people at the level of outstanding trainers. It allows their elves to train in a magma environment, which is of great benefit to fire elves. Shu Mu was secretly surprised when he listened to Yang Qianqun's introduction. Sure enough, the real world and the game are different. This kind of training room has the feeling of a wizard box in the game. He can create different terrains and let the elves train in them. A suitable environment will be of great benefit to the elves. However, your Charizard is not suitable here. Yang Qianqun changed the subject and suddenly became playful. It's hard for you to imagine what it feels like for a long-legged beauty in motorcycle clothes to suddenly become playful. Shu Mu admitted that he almost got electrocuted. Just a little bit. Why? Shu Mu asked doubtfully. Idiot, I already told you that you are suitable for an outstanding trainer. The environment here and the durability of the training room can only be suitable for training elves with trainers below the outstanding level. Otherwise, it will cause excessive wear and tear on the trainer and may cause problems. Yang Qianqun's explanation made Shu Mu wake up instantly. It turns out that the school's gravity room was damaged for a reason. It was definitely because of greed for cheapness that the materials used by the old principal were not good enough, which ultimately resulted in the training room being unable to withstand a king-level attack. That's why it was damaged, so it's not my responsibility. Perfect dump. Shu Mu continued to ask. Aside from the forest, deep sea, caves, and magma. Are there any special training rooms? If you don't understand, just ask. Shumukai is not polite. Now that we have this free guide of understanding, wouldn't it be a pity not to ask? Also, my elves are all powerful as heavenly kings, so if they can't be trained here, what's the point of me coming here? Yang Qianshan is indeed a woman who can be a teacher, and her patience is absolutely enough. She answered slowly. In addition to these basic environment simulation rooms, there are also electricity simulation rooms, superpower simulation rooms, combat training rooms, etc. There are many types, which can meet most elf training needs. As for your second question, I just said that this lava training room is not suitable for your elves. Who said that RYE does not have a training place suitable for king-level elves? Glancing at Shu Mu, Yang Qianshan snorted coldly. No, it's over there. Shu Mu walked forward with her and saw a row of independent small alloy houses. Each of these alloy houses is 4 to 5 meters high and covers an area of nearly 100 square meters. Because the king-level elves have huge destructive power with every gesture, the training room must be built separately and made of high-quality alloys. You don't know, each of these training rooms costs at least tens of millions to build. Some special training rooms require tens of millions of alliance coins to stop them. Yang Qianshan said with a proud face and began to introduce Shu Mu one by one. Shu Mu didn't interrupt, just listened quietly. After all, it's not polite for him to interrupt. Everyone who understands understands, and those who don't understand will understand when they grow up. Okay, for the next month, you can train at our YE for free. You can also let the elves stay here during the day when you have classes, provided they are not lazy. After all, Yang Qianshan is the wealthy lady here, so she is very proud of the free bill. Shu Mu thought for a while, and it seemed that he could indeed let Koga Ninja and the others stay here by themselves. But not Arceus and Lugia. Arceus is too greedy. If Shu Mu was not by his side, this little guy would probably eat up the entire YE. It's safer to stay with you. As for Lugia, this little guy is so clingy. As long as he comes out, he must be entangled with Shu Mu, full of dependence. Then I'm welcome. Thank you very much, Teacher Yang. After Shu Mu thought about it, he didn't waste any time and went directly to the gravity simulation room used by the king class. The old rules, step by step, first let the elves adapt to the gravity environment and improve their basic qualities. Then go to a special training room to practice energy sensing and skill control. If we have time, we can discuss it more. Yang Qianshan is also a girl who likes elf battles. The main reason why she asked Manager Wang to help her keep an eye on top trainers is so that she can fight against all kinds of trainers without delaying her work in basic training. As for why she doesn't travel, aren't there many top trainers in the outside world to fight with her? This is a good question. Shu Mu also wanted to know. Okay, I'll be with you anytime. Tell me, Teacher Yang, you like elf battle so much and you want to participate in the King of Heaven challenge. Why did you come to our school to be a teacher? When Yang Qianshan saw Shu Mu's question, she held her chin and thought for a while. That's it. I'm in the preparation period now, just polishing my character and that of the elf. I have collected all the gym badges. The next thing I have to do is adjust my mentality and actively prepare for the battle. That's why I returned to Fengcheng, wanting to polish myself again in the place where I was born. As for becoming a teacher, the old principal invited me, and I happened to be fine, so I agreed. Spreading her hands, Yang Qianshan finished explaining casually and continued walking forward with her long legs. Here is our gravity simulation room. The maximum gravity here can reach 100 times, but that is a theoretical value. Generally, a king-level elf can withstand 10 times the gravity limit. This 100 times is just a gimmick. Yang Qianshan was quite honest with Shu Mu and explained everything to Shu Mu. Shu Mu listened very carefully. These were knowledge that he might not be able to get even by spending money. Since Yang Qianshan was willing to tell him, he would also remember this kindness. While waiting for the King of Heaven challenge, if I really meet this beautiful teacher. Shu Mu swore that he would be gentler. Try not to give the teacher a score of 0 to 6, it would be too embarrassing for the beautiful teacher. After Yang Qianshan left, Shu Mu entered the gravity simulation room and released his 5 elves. He himself stood in a safe area that could isolate the influence of gravity. Everyone, you can start training. Cool, training. When he heard that he could be trained, Koga Ninja was the most excited and jumped up and applauded. Charizard's eyes showed blazing fighting spirit. Training, this safe way to become stronger, is his favorite. Kuailong scratched his head naively, looking reluctant. Fengcheng is still too small. As a small city, there are no gymnasiums or large shopping malls in Devon. Even outstanding trainers are very few. Let me talk about it here. Novice trainer, junior trainer, senior trainer, elite trainer, these titles are all obtained through assessment in the academy. Once students graduate from the academy, complete the graduation assessment, and obtain an A-level or above evaluation, they will become outstanding trainers. Note that it is also very difficult to become an outstanding trainer here. Outstanding trainers must pass the assessment of the Alliance and complete the hard targets, and have more than 3 king-level elves. Only then can you become a top trainer. In a small place like Fengcheng, there are currently very few outstanding trainers. There is only a group of elites or high-level trainers, and these people are considered the mainstay here. He often helps the city lord of Fengcheng deal with various things. Therefore, after saying so much, it mainly explains why there is only Shumu himself in the gravity room and no other trainers. Mainly because they don't deserve it. The strength of the Heavenly King is a level that they can never dream of reaching in their lifetime. If they can really do it, they must be dreaming before they wake up. Kailong, what's wrong with you? Noticing that Kuailong's expression was different, Shumu quickly stepped forward and asked with concern. Kuailong let out a soft cry and put his hand on Shumu's shoulder. I want to read a book. Shumu was stunned when he heard this. Yes. He promised Kuailong that if he walked with him, he could read to him. I almost forgot about this. Shumu thought for a moment and called Kuailong over so that the other elves could continue training. He himself took out his mobile phone and began to teach Kuailong how to use it. You know human writing, right? Well, must know it. Okay. Seeing that Kuailong was satisfied, Shumu didn't say anything and started teaching Kuailong how to operate the mobile phone. This is a reading software that allows you to read various books and novels. This is for watching short videos. You can learn and understand what you want to know through videos. This is a search software that can answer questions. After Shumu briefly taught Kuailong, the smart guy had successfully learned how to use a mobile phone and began to hide and play with Shumu's mobile phone. Jian Kuailong found the content he was interested in and was happily reading on his mobile phone while bearing gravity. Shumu was stunned when he saw it. This, my elf, is too hardworking. After training so hard and reading books to improve yourself, Kuailong, you deserve to be so strong. Shumu sighed for a moment and secretly decided to buy Kuailong a mobile phone. But you must strictly control the software of your mobile phone, and you must not learn bad things from Kuailong on the internet. Otherwise, it will be troublesome. There is a mixed bag of good and bad people on the internet now. If Kuailong doesn't learn well, he will do those messy things. Shumu didn't even dare to think about the consequences. Looking at Koga Ninja again, this guy not only practices hard on his own. He also took Arceus and little Lugia with him. Little Lugia had nothing but one problem. Shumu couldn't leave his sight. As long as he comes out of the elf ball, Shumu must be by his side, otherwise he will cry. Koga Ninja, when you have time, you can teach little Lugia the fake crying technique. I think he can practice it very well. Shumu said jokingly, then looked at Charizard, who was undergoing crazy self-mutilation training. This cautious guy is afraid of being beaten to death outside, so every time he trains, he is the most desperate one. In his words, it means sweating more during practice and less losing face when going out. Only strong strength is the basis of all prerequisites. Charizard understands this truth very well. You have worked so hard, how embarrassing it is for me as a trainer. Shumu actually owed these guys a little. Although Shumu has done his best when it comes to eating and drinking, this is not the key. Mainly because before, Shumu didn't want to be a trainer. So I never paid attention to the cultivation of Koga Ninja Frog and Charizard. As a result, these two guys have not received formal training and guidance, and have only relied on Yeluzi's fighting style to support themselves to the current point. In fact, the Koga Ninja was okay. After all, it was sent to him by Shu Emu's cheap dad. When he met Shu Mu, he was already a king-level player. But Charizard, he was not brought up by Shu Mu. If the dog system hadn't been helping him, I'm afraid Charizard's strength wouldn't have improved so quickly, let alone be as powerful as it is now. Fire Dragon God Bloodline, seriously. The benefits that this bloodline brings to the fire-breathing dragon's strength are absolutely huge. Moreover, the emergence of this bloodline also saved Shu Mu a lot of money invisibly. Without a system, Shu Mu might go bankrupt just by cultivating the fire-breathing dragon himself. Therefore, the dog system sometimes has some merits. Koga Ninja, don't rush through the movements. First adapt to the 3 times gravity and then slowly try various difficult movements. Charizard, you're almost done. If you can't hold on any longer, take a rest. Then don't tire yourself out. It would be very uncomfortable if you get injured or sick. Charizard didn't want to talk to Shu Mu at first, thinking that he could only reach his limit by training in this way. But Shu Emu's last words instantly frightened the fire-breathing dragon. Roar, then let me take a rest. Charizard admitted that he was just scared. I'm not afraid of 10,000, I'm just afraid that if I'm not careful, I'll get hurt. How dangerous that is. Charizard decided to take a rest, and Shu Mu also told Kuailong, who had been doing push-ups with one hand, to take a rest as well. At the same time, he took out 5 bottles of moo milk and gave them to the elves as water to replenish their physical strength. In just half an hour, Kuailong discovered that he might really like mobile phones. It's so convenient, you don't need to flip through books to get the knowledge you want. For readers, this is simply a magical tool. Now Kuailong is simply too lucky to be with Shu Mu. If it weren't for Shu Mu, he might never know what a smartphone is in his life. Arceus, you and little Lugia, stop messing around. If 3 times the gravity is not enough, I will continue to strengthen it for you. Shu Mu said, directly doubling the gravity under the feet of the 2 divine beasts, turning it into a 6 times gravity simulation. In an instant, the 2 little guys fell directly to the ground, motionless. The 2 of them obviously haven't adapted to 6 times the gravity. But don't be in a hurry, just take your time. They are still young anyway, and now is not the time to force them to fight. The elves trained very seriously, so seriously that the trainer Shu Mu felt a little embarrassed. If he hadn't been unwilling to become stronger before, perhaps the strength of these guys would have reached a higher level. It's been 5 hours, what is Shu Mu doing? It can't be that you got lost because it's your first time at the training gym, right? Yang Qianchen muttered to herself. Seeing that Shu Mu had not come out for a long time after going in, she decided to go and see him. Arriving at the gravity simulation room, Yang Qianchen was shocked. Shu Mu was standing in the safe area, enthusiastically directing his elves to conduct various trainings. Charizard and Koga Ninja were doing push-ups with their fingers, while Arceus was racing against Lugia. As for the fast dragon, this guy was already covered in sweat and started to challenge 5 times gravity. Be a monster. Is there something wrong with this guy and his elves? It's just training, this is life-threatening. Shu Mu, you won't always be here, right? Entering the simulation room, Yang Qianchen asked in shock. She couldn't believe that someone could last more than 5 hours in the training room. Even if the trainer can stand it, his elves should have reached their limit. Sure enough, as soon as Yang Qianchen finished speaking, Charizard fell to the ground. The Koga Ninja opposite him not only did not step forward to care, but instead showed a proud look on his face. Cool, Red Lizard, isn't this okay? Roar, quote, Blue Frog, watch out for me. The ridiculed Charizard roared angrily, and with his own perseverance, he miraculously supported his body with his fingers again. Continue doing push-ups slowly. After all, he has the blood of the fire dragon god. Since he has not trained before, he has rarely experienced the feeling of reaching the limit. Therefore, although the blood in his body helped Charizard become stronger, it had not yet fully exerted its effect. Now, as the fire-breathing dragon continues to consume the energy in his body, the fire dragon god's bloodline begins to be stimulated. In fact, every push-up he did since Charizard started doing it in an hour was based on his own perseverance. And it is precisely because of his perseverance that the fire dragon god's bloodline can be constantly stimulated and inspired. It has been providing him with a steady stream of energy. Yes, I'm not familiar with the outside world. Besides, my elf is still doing basic training, so I can only stay here. When Shu Mu saw Yang Qianchen coming, he asked Kuailong to take a rest first and adjust him back to triple gravity. Well, your elves are already at the level of kings. Why are you still doing basic training? Yang Qianchen is also puzzled. Other trainers come to the gravity room to challenge the limits of their elves and try more than 10 times the gravity. But not Shu Mu. He actually started from scratch with the elves. How did you become so powerful as a heavenly king? Could it be fake? You might not believe it. Shu Mu saw Yang Qianchen's face full of doubts, and shook his head helplessly. My elf has been so strong from the beginning. Well, Yang Qianchen was speechless. Believe it or not, she didn't want to say a word to Shu Muduo anymore. This guy is so offensive. What does it mean to be so strong from the beginning? Didn't your elf train up bit by bit? Okay, it's getting dark. I'll take them to train for a while and then go back. Shu Mu thought that the Yi training center was about to close, so Yang Qianchen came to remind him. Yang Qianchen didn't want to speak. She said she was very hurt. Oh, leave first. You can watch and practice by yourself. Don't train too hard at one time and create resistance in the elves. Although she was very unhappy, she was a glorious people's teacher. She decided to forgive Shu Mu and reminded him kindly. Shu Mu nodded. He now wished that his elves would resist. Training is so boring. There is no internet in this simulation room, and you can't even use your mobile phone. Okay, I'll pay attention. By the way, Shu Mu thought that he might leave Koga Ninja and the others here when he goes to school tomorrow. I didn't know if Yang Qianchen would allow it, so I decided to ask in advance. I have class tomorrow. Can you store the elves here and let them train in the gravity simulation room? Worried that Yang Qianchen would refuse, Shu Mu specifically explained. Not all of them, just the 3 of them, Koga Ninja, Charizard, and Kuailu. Yang Qianchen was a little confused by Shu Mu's words. Under what circumstances can your elf really train itself? Isn't it? It's okay to stay here, but are you sure you want to do this? There is no trainer present, and the elves train by themselves. This is a bit unrealistic. Yang Qianchen told the truth. Elves are also independent individuals. They are like children, very simple-minded. Likewise, elves will have their own feelings, and they will also know that training is tiring. Just like humans' avoidance psychology, elves may not like to endure hardship. A reasonable thing. Besides, if Shu Mu was not present, his elves could train on their own initiative. But what about the training content? Without the control of a trainer, the elves can easily go astray during training, or even go astray. It is also commonly known as being obsessed. The most typical example is that there is a venerable master in Western Europe who specializes in the superpower system. He let his elf practice spiritual power alone, but the elf did not realize his true condition and accidentally overtrained, leading to mental breakdown and almost death. Therefore, training an elf alone in the absence of a trainer is not only unrealistic but also very dangerous. However, Shu Mu looked indifferent. Sure, they can do it themselves. As he spoke, he pointed at Charizard. This guy knows his body better than I do. If he feels something is wrong, he will stop. And this guy, Shu Mu pointed at the Koga Ninja frog and continued, if other people's elves can be lazy, he can't. With a free training ground, he can't wait to practice around the clock. Finally, in Yang Qianchen's speechless eyes, Shu Mu pointed at Kuailong. Look at him, he is studying and training at the same time. He wishes he could squeeze his time into a sponge and squeeze out the water as hard as he can. So, I don't think it's a big problem. After Shu Mu finished speaking, he turned around and found that Yang Qianchen had left at some point. He looked confused and didn't understand what was going on. Yang Qianchen, after leaving the simulation room, covered her heart and gasped for air. Unbearable. Shu Mu definitely did it on purpose. Why is this guy so mean? If she stayed any longer, she was afraid that she would die suddenly on the spot. Chapter 91. Why is his elf so strong from the beginning? Why can his elf be trained by himself? This is too much. Looking down at the 6 Pokeballs on her waist, Yang Qianchen took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. If you can't get along with Shu Mu, this guy definitely did it on purpose. Gritting her teeth and leaving the training hall, Yang Qianchen felt that she might not be able to sleep that night. When she closes her eyes now, she sees that unscrupulous guy Shumyu, showing off to herself in a casual tone how powerful his elf is. This is too much. The next day was another sunny day. Shumyu also got up early and sent the three of Koga Ninja to the training hall on the way to school. Then he explained with a serious face. Koga Ninja, you have to be careful, don't work too hard, don't tire your body out. Training should be moderate, and take a rest when you are tired. I will ask the staff here to prepare food and drink for you. You don't have to save money, just eat and drink without worry. Koga Ninja nodded, indicating that he understood. Stretching out his hand and giving Shumyu a thumbs up, he said he was fine. Shumyu looked at the fire-breathing dragon, thought about it, and then ordered. You two, I'm not worried about your physical problems. The main thing is that Charizard, you have to pay attention to the facilities here and don't cause any damage. Although this is not our home, it is still safe. You don't have to be too cautious. After speaking, Shumyu took out his phone and handed it to Kuailong. This is the mobile phone I used before. You can hold it and use it first. I'll help you download and log in all the apps you need. Just use them directly. You too, Kuailong, don't be too half-hearted when training. It won't be good if something goes wrong. Shumyu finished giving instructions one by one and felt that it was almost done, then he got up and headed to school. In the distance, Yang Qianqun, who had been watching Shuemyu's every move, was completely convinced. She felt that Shumyu must have discovered her, otherwise he wouldn't have said such pretentious words. If there is no one around, there is no need for him to pretend like this. There was not even an audience, Shumyu would never be like this. Therefore, she thought that she must have been discovered by Shumyu, so she deliberately said such pretentious words to herself. Absolute. This guy is very bad. With a cold snort, Yang Qianqun turned around and left, riding her favorite motorcycle to go to school. The ordinary day started like this. After Shumyu arrived in the classroom, the first thing he did was to take Lu Shuo's mobile phone and start playing with it. There was no way, his mobile phone had already been given to Kuailong, and if he wanted to buy it, he would have to wait until his lunch break. So now I can only feel sorry for Lu Shuo. As for homework, Lu Shuo, the little fat guy, is quite reliable in his work. Today's homework had been placed on Shuemyu's desk long before Shumyu came. Okay, you did a good job, please give me some praise. Shumyu joked casually and handed the homework to the school committee. Seeing that Shumyu was satisfied, Lu Shuo grinned and said, Hey, boss, as long as you are satisfied with the little things. With that said, he swished to the table behind Shumyu, stretched out his head and said, Boss, I have a little question to ask you. Shumyu didn't even raise his head. While scrolling through his phone to read the latest news, he said, Tell me. Well, I went back yesterday to take the little Kirby to the Alliance Hospital for a checkup. I didn't expect it to be like what you said, boss. Then I will quickly ask the doctor to prescribe a reasonable diet plan. Boss, can you help me control my eyes? Shumyu saw Lu Shuo take out a piece of paper with various diet plans densely written on it according to time. It was simply a super recipe. Take a look at it. In addition to the daily elf food, the doctor also recommended Lu Shuo to feed the little Kirby some tree fruits. Fruits like spicy cherry blossoms and red apples have a strong and special taste. There's nothing wrong with what the doctor prescribed. If you want the little Kirby to control his mouth, it's harder than killing him. So he chose these fruits with a special taste, which can actually be very effective in controlling the little Kirby's desire to eat. Just don't be soft-hearted then. Lu Shuo received Shuemyu's guidance and nodded quickly. Thank you, boss. For the health of little Kirby, I will not be soft-hearted. With that said, he stood up and prepared to return to his seat and wait for the school bell to ring. Halfway through, Lu Shuo returned the same way and came to Shuemyu's side again. Boss, there is one more little thing. Shumyu wasn't impatient. School was boring enough anyway, so having a little fat man talking in his ear was a bit of fun. You say. Seeing Shumyu nodding, Lu Shuo quickly said, That's right, our family has encountered some problems in business recently. I need to attend a meeting in our 5 northern provinces. One of the items is that each family needs to send a trainer to compete. The outcome of this battle will affect the business distribution of each family in the next year. The better the ranking of the family, the more initiative and advantage it will have. So, Shu Mu understood. Is there a shortage of thugs? It is these families who need to meet every year to determine their interest plans for the next year through underground black boxing. This matter is not a big problem, Shu Mu is best at fighting. Don't worry, boss, I won't let you do it in vain. Although my father told me that he knows you don't like our little money, our Lu family will do our best to meet the boss's conditions. Lu Shuo's words were very sincere. In their family's opinion, a talented young man like Shu Mu, who can defeat top trainers at a young age, is definitely someone who is not short of money. Instead of talking about money with Shu Mu, it's better to talk about profits to the extreme. We have a Kirby beast in our family, which is an elf from my great-grandfather's generation. Last year he left a descendant. According to expert speculation, this little Kirby beast is at least qualified to be a king. What our family means is that if you, boss, are willing to take action, then this little guy will be considered as reward, and we will find a suitable trainer for him. When Shu Mu heard this, he looked back at Lu Shuo in surprise. How do you know I'm not short of money? Funny, right? Who told you that I am not short of money? I am in need. Now I have 5 elves, and one of them is a loser. The daily expenses are huge. It turns out that it's good for you. I kindly helped you fight, but you turned around and wanted to give me a new foodie. Is that too much? Well, actually I'm not particularly interested in this little Kirby. It's okay to help you fight, but I think we can still talk about the reward. Shu Mu coughed dryly and prepared to make it clear to Lu Shuo that he wanted money, not foodies. When Lu Shuo saw Shu Mu say this, he understood instantly. This is because I dislike myself for giving less. Lu Shuo smacked his lips and said quickly, Boss, I told you that you can't help us just because of a little Kirby. My dad still doesn't believe it. I have already thought about it. As long as the boss is willing to take action, in addition to this little guy, our family will also give you the ancestral Kirby training method. I guarantee that you will train the little Kirby all the way to the king level. Shu Mu slapped his forehead and said, Okay. Needless to say, this guy definitely got it wrong. Since your family has a Kirby training method, how come your little Kirby is fed inappropriately? Shu Mu no longer dwells on the issue of remuneration, there is no need. There is no point in talking about it anymore, it seems like you are so greedy. A little Kirby with the qualifications of a king is equipped with a special training program. To be honest, it is already worth tens of millions. If Shu Mu asked for more, he would really be out of ideas. Lu Shuo smiled awkwardly when he heard this and scratched the back of his head with his hand. Embarrassed explanation. The responsibility for this problem lies with me, mainly because I am not qualified to learn this training method passed down by our family. According to the rules, I need to become a new trainer before I can have access to these. So during this period, the little Kirby was always with me, and my dad didn't see it a few times, so no one noticed this problem. Shu Mu pouted, Is this a big family? Is this the richest man in Fengcheng? Isn't it? Is it so complicated to follow the rules? Then, how important is this gathering of your 5 provinces? No matter what, you won't pay me so much. Since he agreed to Lu Shuo, Shu Mu naturally wanted to understand the situation. When Lu Shuo saw Shu Mu asking this, he chuckled and said, My dad said that a friend like you is worth this price. No matter what the outcome of the battle is, as long as you come to help us, that's enough. Besides, our family also wants to find a suitable trainer for this little Kirby. When Lu Shuo said this, Shu Mu could no longer be pretentious. They made it clear that they wanted to take this opportunity to make friends with them. As for whether it was money or not, the Lu family didn't care. Overall, Shu Mu made a profit in this matter. Okay, then I promise you. As Shu Mu said, the class bell suddenly rang. Lu Shuo happily ran back to his seat. He had completed the task assigned to him by his father. It's great to not have to be scolded when I go back. Shu Mu, on the other hand, had a headache and his wallet was going to suffer. This time there is another little loser, and it is definitely going bankrupt. As we all know, little Kirbys are as difficult to raise as elves like Yukira. Although Yukira's final evolved form is Bankira, his strength is a top-notch existence that can compete with Kuailong. But this kind of elf is too expensive. The issue of feeding alone is enough to put most trainers off. The reason is simple. Yukire eats ores. The rarer the ores he eats, the faster his strength will increase. The same goes for little Kirby. Although this guy is not picky about food, he can eat anything, unlike Yukila who only eats expensive and rare ores. But this doesn't stop the little Kirby from eating it. Tisk tisk, the more he thought about it, the more worried he became. Shumyu had already begun to consider whether he should really help Lu Shuo. If things go wrong, Shuemyu's wallet may go bankrupt when the little Kirby arrives. A few days later, it was Friday. Shumyu returned home after going to the training hall to pick up the three guys, Koga Ninja. Because the three of them now go to the YE training center every day and train in the gravity simulation room all day long. Now they are somewhat famous in the training hall. After several days of training, the effect has been significantly improved. These three guys are currently able to move freely under 10 times gravity. Of course, it's still a little short of being able to cope with it easily. After all, there was not enough time, and Shumyu said he was very satisfied that they could achieve this in just a few days. I'll take you to a place later, and if nothing else happens, we may have a fight tomorrow. Saturday was a holiday, which happened to be the day for Lu Shuo's family gathering. We had already discussed it with Lu Shuo before, so Shumyu would naturally not break the promise. After telling the Koga Ninja that there was a fight to be fought, the guy really got excited. Cool, what is the strength of the opponent? Little master. Shumyu thought for a while and said uncertainly, there may be people who are stronger than you, or they may be about the same. It's probably just the King of Heaven. If the Lu family can invite Shumyu, then other families can naturally find others. Shumyu is not the only foreign aid. Cool, no matter who the opponent is, I will definitely defeat them all. After just a few days of training, Koga Ninja is now in a state of overwhelming confidence. Shumyu didn't bother him when he saw this. Having confidence is a good thing. As long as you are not arrogant and blindly arrogant. Of course, even if you are really arrogant, so what? With Shumyu here, Koga Ninja is basically invincible at the same level. Even the Venerable killed more than one of them. Why can't you be arrogant? Okay, then you guys have a good rest tonight and we'll set off tomorrow morning. Dad, just watch tomorrow's ranking match. Shumyu will definitely help our family become a success. Lu Shuo was at home and proudly boasted to his father Lu Tizu about how awesome Shumyu was. Not to mention anything else, just because Shumyu defeated Yang Qianchen, a peak trainer, in a head-on manner, we can already get a rough idea of Shuemyu's strength. Well, I didn't expect that there are young people in Fengcheng who can defeat Qianchen. Lu Tizu knew Yang Qianchen. He and Yang Qianchen's father were of the same generation and were old friends. Originally, Lu Tizu meant that Yang Qianchen, his niece, would take action, but who expected to kill Shumyu halfway. After hearing Lu Shuo tell him about Shuemyu's situation, local tycoon Lu Tizu said that he could try to make friends with this young man. This young man is probably an excellent trainer with a bright future. In this qualifying match, you must remember that no matter how Shumyu performs, never show disappointment or dissatisfaction with him. We are here to make friends. In my opinion, this gathering is definitely not as important as the friendship of a future strong man. Lu Tizu said, stretched out his big hand and patted his little fat man's head. Don't tell me, it feels so good. Dad, that's enough, my head is wrapped around your head. I'm so round, so you definitely gave me a small thumbs up. Boss, I'm here. Early the next morning, Lu Shuo came downstairs to Shuemyu's house at 7 o'clock on time and shouted at the top of his lungs. Shumyu opened the window speechlessly. Don't scream, wait. Why haven't I noticed before that this little fat guy has a terrifyingly loud voice? Mom, I'm going out these 2 days to play a small game. Shumyu couldn't say that he was helping others in underground boxing, he could only say that he was doing competitions. But it is true that several large families in the 5 northern provinces held gatherings to divide their interests, and the way to divide the interests was to find helpers to PK. Of course, if you have a good one at home, you can also arrange for one. Although it is said to be an underground black boxing model, but seriously speaking, it seems to be a real competition. Well, be safe. When Shu's mother saw Lu Shuo downstairs, she already knew it, but she didn't say much and smiled gently. Shumyu nodded in agreement and left the house with his bag on his back. After Shu Mu left, Shu's mother sat on the sofa with her mouth pouted. The aura she exuded at this moment was completely different from that of the middle-aged woman before. The pouting look made her look more girlish out of thin air. In addition, Shu's mother is not very old. If she dresses up delicately, some people will believe that she is Shu Mu's sister. This child has really grown up and has become involved in these small families. Oh, go ahead, the young eagle will always spread its wings. After muttering a few words to herself, Shu's mother stood up, took back the mysterious temperament that had just disappeared, and became an ordinary mother again, and began to clean up the housework. Let's go, don't shout like that downstairs in my house next time. This is not your villa area. There are many neighbors around and it will disturb the residents. Shu Mu went out and came to Lu Shuo's side, and began to give instructions. Lu Shuo nodded in confusion. He had never thought of this. That's right, he had never thought of it either. Boss, the venue of this party is Function City in Liao Province. After the party is over, we will just spend the day there. Soon, Lu Shuo regained his energy, leaned next to Shu Mu with a smile and suggested. Shu Mu said it didn't matter, spread his hands and said. No problem, just relax. Boom, the elf ball opened automatically, a red light flashed, and the dragon suddenly jumped out. Aha, Shu Mu, there is a gymnasium in Function City. Good guy, you know better than me as a trainer. Shu Mu slapped his forehead helplessly, nodded and said, I understand. Then he covered his face and put Kuailong back into the elf ball. Boss, what's wrong? Lu Shuo, who was confused on the side, asked. Shu Mu thought for a while and decided to tell the truth. It's not a big deal anyway, what should you hide? Nothing, just Kuailong reminded me that there is a gym in Function City. Lu Shuo was shocked when he heard this. How could Kuailong know this? It can also actively jump out of the elf ball to alert the trainer. Sure enough, Boss Shu Mu's elves are not ordinary elves. Secretly sighing in his heart, Lu Shuo clicked his tongue and said, Function City has a gym. Why, boss, you want to go to the gym? Yes, let's go take a look. Shu Mu did not deny it and nodded directly. Lu Shuo was confused again when he heard this. That's not right, boss. You want to play in the gym, are you preparing to participate in the next King's Challenge? I have to say that Lu Shuo's little round head is still very clever, maybe because his father often talks about it. From Shu Mu playing in the gym, to thinking about the King of Heaven Challenge, I have to say that this kid can quite relate. It is true that I want to participate in the King of Heaven Challenge, but I am not participating in this one. Seeing Lu Shuo's shocked face, Shu Mu couldn't help but sigh. You've known me for so long, why do you still look like you've never seen the world? You make a fuss when something happens, how can you keep messing with me like this? Glancing at Lu Shuo with disdain, Shu Mu expressed dissatisfaction when he saw him stroking his chest with his hands to soothe his restless heart. This kid's mental endurance is still a bit low. How can he be friends with a genius like me? Lu Shuo secretly breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that Shu Mu said that he was not participating in this competition. Fortunately, Boss Shu Mu is not that strong yet, otherwise I would really not be worthy of standing next to him, not even worthy of being his younger brother. Lu Shuo, who was secretly thankful in his heart, hurriedly said. It's okay, boss, we are still young. It takes 2 years to prepare. It would be good to participate in the next King of Heaven Challenge. By then, I believe you will definitely achieve top 3 results. After Lu Shuo finished speaking, he found that Shu Mu looked at him even more strangely. Scratching his head in confusion, he mentally asked himself if he had said something wrong. Shu Mu was silent for a long time and sighed. He turned around and got into the car sent by the Lu family, and whispered, It's not the next session, nor the next session. What I want to participate in is the session in 2 months. Boom, Shu Mu closed the car door heavily, and Lu Shuo stood there in a daze. He felt like a clown. I never chatted with Shu Mu on the same channel from beginning to end. What a shame. Hello Uncle Lu. Arriving at the backyard of Lu Shuo's house, Shu Mu saw Lu Shuo's father and said hello politely. How he and Lu Shuo quarrel is a matter between the two of them. After all, Lu Tizu is also an elder, and Shu Mu has to give him enough face. Haha, Shu Mu, right. What a great boy. What a talented person. He is very capable at a young age. There are indeed people who are like dragons and phoenixes. With that said, Lu Tizu pulled Lu Shuo out of habit, put his big hand on Lu Shuo's head, and crossed it. While coiling it, he wanted to take a few pats. This made Lu Shuo grin. Unlike this boy in my family, who is chubby and has a rotten belly at such a young age. He is not a good thing at first glance. Xu Mu couldn't accept this. He could only smile modestly, then gave Lu Shuo a sympathetic look, turned around, and followed Lu Tizu to the helicopter. As a matter of fact, as the #1 tycoon in Fengcheng, Lu Tizu's private helicopter is also very expensive. Lu Shuo was able to get to know Xu Emu's school car in the first place. It was precisely because he had this thing at home that he had the energy to get to know it. Otherwise, who can't afford to buy it? Who can have time to see this thing? Uncle Lu, I want to know in advance what the format of the game will be at the party tonight. On the way, Xu Mu had nothing to do and didn't play with his mobile phone. He just found a topic to chat with Lu Tizu. When Lu Tizu heard Xu Emu's question about the party, he quickly said, "This should be considered an arena battle. 2 parties can bring up to 6 elves and then fight in the ring without any rules. The game ends until one of the trainers dies or loses the ability to resist." Xu Mu was a little surprised when he heard this. Lu Shuo hadn't told him the specific rules before. Although he knew it was an underground black boxing, he didn't expect the rules to be so cruel. "So, you can directly attack the opponent's trainer, right?" Lu Tizu nodded. "Yes, you don't have to kill the opponent. As long as you defeat all the opponent's elves or make the opponent unable to resist, you can win." When he said this, a trace of guilt flashed in Lu Tizu's eyes. "It seems that this Lu Shuo didn't make it clear to you before. It's our Lu family's fault. You didn't know the specific rules in advance, so if you want to quit now, my uncle won't blame you." Lu Tizu indeed forgot to tell Lu Shuo to tell Xu Mu the rules of the death arena. It wasn't that he was plotting against Xu Mu, he just simply forgot. Because they are all too familiar with this rule, so familiar that they have become accustomed to it. There is a meeting every year, and this death ring competition is held every year. Lu Tizu indeed forgot to introduce the rules to Xu Mu in advance. That's why he said the last sentence. If Xu Mu wants to quit now, he will never stop him. After all, it was a bit inappropriate to let a young man who was about the same age as his son go boxing for the Lu family. If Xu Mu was not really too strong, Lu Tizu would rather spend money to hire someone instead of letting Xu Mu take risks. "It's okay, I want to give it a try." Xu Emu's face was calm. It was just a little dangerous, it wasn't a big problem. He has seen even dead people, let alone a competition in a death ring. Besides, the indiscriminate and rule-free fighting between elves was simply what Xu Mu envied and wanted to try in his previous life. There was an opportunity this time, and Xu Mu didn't want to miss it. When Lu Tizu saw that Xu Mu had no intention of getting off the plane, his eyes were sincere, as if he was not holding on. He quickly smiled and said, "Okay, he is indeed the top genius in our Fengcheng. Uncle is convinced by his courage." He laughed loudly, grabbed Lu Shuo, and began to twist his son's head habitually. "Don't worry, if something dangerous happens, I will stop the game in time." Lu Tizu mainly wanted to make friends with Xu Mu, not to harm him. Naturally, such a dangerous thing will not be allowed to happen. Xu Mu smiled and said, "Then Uncle Kue is keeping an eye on me. After all, it must be my first time to participate in this kind of battle. It is indeed a bit unfamiliar. Humility makes people progress, and humble people can survive longer." Xu Mu knew this truth well. Don't be too lazy as a person, otherwise you will get stabbed. Do not worry. After chatting for a while on the plane, the group arrived at their destination, Fengcheng City. Looking at the towering city wall in front of him, Xu Mu was fascinated. What kind of miraculous craftsmanship is required to build such a city wall? Is this the economic center of the north, Fengcheng? Xu Mu was a little shocked when he came to the long-famous Fengcheng City for the first time. After all, it's not like he hasn't seen the world before. Xu Mu also visited big cities such as Beijing and Shanghai in his previous life, and even climbed the Great Wall several times. But now, he was actually shocked by a wall in Fengcheng City. The huge 100-meter-high city wall remains standing, with rugged ravines on the wall, showing its ancient history to every visitor who arrives in this city. Boy, are you shocked? Lu Tizu chuckled and walked to Shumyu. When I was a child, I came here with my father for the first time, and I was also surprised by this city wall. My master said that this city wall is older than our Lu family. After clicking his tongue and sighing with emotion, Lu Tizu took out his identity certificate, handed it to the guard, and led Shumyu and his party into the city. After passing the city gate, there are two worlds inside and outside the city. Although Function City is well connected in all directions, it always feels like it lacks a bit of fireworks. There are dense woods next to the main road, giving people a comfortable feeling of being in nature. But it's different inside the city. The Northern Trade Center is no joke. Function City is full of high-rise buildings, rail transit, and a bustling lot. To be honest, Shumyu really felt at this moment that this city wall was like a big lock, separating the inside and outside of the city and dividing it into two worlds. The outside of the city is relatively primitive, while the inside is a model of a modern city. Let's go to the place to stay first. Although Shumyu was filled with emotion, he was definitely not a country bumpkin. He only glanced briefly and then withdrew his gaze. When Lu Tizu saw Shumyu's indifferent expression, he was a little surprised. Without saying anything, he directly invited everyone to go to the small house he just bought some time ago to rest for a while. Then Shumyu saw what the rich call a small house. How can he be so small? In a 120-story building, Lu Tizu directly bought the 20th floor as his own mansion. Does this have anything to do with little Nima? Shumyu could no longer complain. In the eyes of rich people like Lu Tizu, as long as it is not a villa, it is called a small house. Okay, son, take Shumyu to live on the first floor. Go and get to know the room first. Don't look back and get lost. When I first bought this shabby house, I couldn't find the bathroom when I got up in the middle of the night. Lu Tizu and Shumyu have been getting along for a long time, and their true nature has gradually begun to be revealed. He is not a literate person in the first place, so it is unfair for him not to use foul language for such a long time. Sitting on the sofa, Lu Tizu held a unique cigar in his mouth and began to contact the bosses of other families. Upon hearing this, Lu Shuo agreed and led Shumyu to the 110th floor. Your family is so rich, why don't you ask a respected person to help? Shumyu and Lu Shuo left everyone, and then they asked about the doubts in their hearts. I used to think that Lu Shuo's family was just a small local family, but I didn't expect them to be so inhumane. It is true that Shumyu made a mistake this time. He originally thought Lu Shuo was on the first floor, but he didn't expect that this guy was always on the 5th floor. I'm about to be on the same level as myself. Secretly surprised, Shumyu decided to have a good chat with Lu Shuo to see what this guy had yet to explain. This kind of family fight is a private interest and is not officially allowed. So it's not easy to find those respectable venerables. It's just right to set the strength at the peak trainer. Lu Shuo said with a wry smile on his face. Boss, I didn't know my dad was so powerful. Real. He was afraid that Shumyu wouldn't believe it, so he explained specifically. I knew that my father was an illegitimate child and had been living a hard life outside when he was a child. It wasn't until my grandfather came to power in the family that I took him back. Because he was the only male of my father's generation, he became the head of the Lu family. But because my father is not strong enough, the head of the family is just a face-saving person, you know. Shumyu rolled his eyes and asked again. So, uncle's life is not as prosperous as it seems. Lu Shuo nodded repeatedly. He said secretly, yes, that's why my father is so strict with me. He always hopes that I can become a powerful trainer and give him a long face. Who said I don't have this talent? Maybe I do, but I haven't discovered it yet. Anyway, his old man is having a hard time right now. He has so many things to do that he has trouble sleeping. Lu Shuo did not say how important this gathering was to the Lu family and Lu Tizu. Shumyu didn't ask this either. Some things speak for themselves. Since Lu Tizu's life is very difficult now, naturally everyone knows the rest. Okay, let me ask you, why are you offering such a high reward this time? Shumyu smiled. A little Kirby and a training program passed down from the Lu family's ancestors were things that no amount of real money could buy. Just asking Shu Mu to help in a fight like this, the price is too high. Hey, boss, even if I don't tell you, you know that this reward is not just to reward you, but mainly because my father thinks favorably of you. Lu Shuo didn't hide it, he simply told the truth. Second-generation people like him are definitely rare. Shu Mu followed Sirona some time ago and met many second-generation people with very powerful backgrounds. Although Lu Shuo may not be as good as those people in terms of family strength, but when it comes to his conduct as a person, Lu Shuo can beat those second-generation people by 100 blocks. Okay, but I'm still curious about one thing. With your family's situation, shouldn't they live in Fengcheng? Why do you still live in a small city when you are so rich? It's not like Lu Tizu doesn't have real estate in Fengcheng. He can definitely take Lu Shuo to school in Fengcheng, and it can also help Lu Shuo get a better education, right? Well, my dad said he would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Lu Shuo blushed and answered with some embarrassment. Seeing Shu Emu's suspicious face, Lu Shuo knew that he probably couldn't hide it anymore. Just say what you want and say directly. The Lu family was arranged to Fengcheng because their strength was inferior to others at every previous gathering. Sure enough, when he said this, Shu Mu completely understood. Okay, I understood in my heart, and Shu Mu felt at ease. I don't care about anything else. Didn't you come to me just for a fight? I'll just take care of it. After saying that, Shu Mu directly chose a room and entered, quietly waiting for the evening party to come. Boy, these families are the famous families in the 5 northern provinces. The Lin family and Zhao family in Liao province, the Chen family in Heilongjiang province. Lu Tizu looked at the high-ranking big shots presiding over the scene with an envious look, while introducing Shu Mu in a low voice. Although he looks inhumane, in fact, he is just a little rich man. The Lu family is not worth mentioning in front of these people. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sent to Fengcheng every year to be a small rich man. He was unwilling to do so. If possible, who wouldn't want to be superior? Relying on the capital of the Lu family, Lu Tizu can survive for 3 to 5 years, but he cannot survive for 10 or 20 years. If he gets nothing at the party every year like this, sooner or later he will be suppressed to the point of bankruptcy, or even nothing. This time he came to Shu Mu, not because he really hoped that Shu Mu could create some miracle and help him become famous and overwhelm the others. Mainly because he hopes to make friends with Shu Mu, a genius. He hopes to see Shu Mu grow up in the future and become a friend of the Lu family. You can take care of Lu Shuo, the little fat guy. As the big guys ate, drank, and drank, the battle to the death in the ring officially began. Everyone, our Chen family will send my youngest son, Chen Fengxian, this year. Ha ha ha, old Chen, you are so confident. Old Chen, you can't do it anymore. I brought a peerless genius this year. Even though this kid is only 20 years old, his strength is definitely the best among top trainers. Just like the standard routine of black boxing, the big guys must brag about how awesome their boxers are. Watching the most prominent middle-aged and elderly people holding cigars in their mouths and boasting about them, Lu Tizu felt really bad. Shu Mu didn't care. All right, let's talk with our fists. What's the use of saying more now? Lu Shuo, when we play a game later, will there be any bets? Shu Mu suddenly thought of a good idea to solve his financial crisis. He rolled his eyes and asked the fat man next to him. When Lu Shuo heard Shu Mu ask this, he quickly said, yes. There is a market over there, which is jointly opened by major families. Our Lu family owns 1% of the shares. Shu Mu nodded, that's all. Let's do something big. After a while, all the top trainers were competing in the next game, and Shu Mu regarded it as a preview before participating in the King of Heaven challenge. Now that he knew the approximate strength of his opponent, Shu Mu was still very confident. Then, since you have confidence, why not do something? Lu Shuo's eyes lit up when he heard this. You sure? The boss stopped screaming. After Lu Shuo thought about money, he became full of desire, and his 2 little mung bean eyes were full of greed. Call your dad and we'll figure something out later. Find a suitable excuse and you can put more pressure on it. After Shu Mu finished speaking, Lu Tizu on the side had already approached. Facts have proved that the excellent genes of the old Lu family are inherited from their ancestors. When the father and son heard about money, they instantly turned into cats that smelled fishy smell. Boy, are you sure it's okay? If you want to be sure, I will play with you once. Lu Tizu had his own plans in mind. Naturally, he would not think about petty troubles like Lu Shuo. If he wants to do it, he wants to do it big time. This coincides with Shu Emu's thoughts. No problem, but after it's done, uncle, I want 1/3. Shu Mu opened his mouth and asked for the price directly. Although Lu Tizu is a profiteer, he is also reasonable in doing things. This vote would be completely impossible without Shu Mu, so it is reasonable for Shu Mu to want 1/3. Okay, it's settled then, I'll see you later. Lu Tizu gritted his teeth and made a decision directly. With Shu Emu's promise, he would definitely make a big bet. After being suppressed for so many years, if he didn't get a good face, Lu Tizu's life would have been in vain. Besides, even if Shu Mu pulls his crotch, he really loses the game. He, Lu Tizu, is not someone who cannot afford to lose. According to the current level of suppression, the Lu family will definitely fall within 10 years. Rather than being slaughtered like a piece of pork, it would be better to take advantage of Shu Mu, a newborn calf, to do it once. Lu Tizu looked carefree, but in fact he was not stupid at all. Just when Lu Tizu and Shu Mu were discussing important matters, the order of the battle had been decided. According to the rules of previous years, they will regard the players from the 8 strongest families last year as the seed players. Each player has to fight against players from 3 small families. After winning all 3 games, the remaining top 8 will compete in a ranking match. The simpler the rules, the crueler they are to these small families. Boy, our luck is a bit bad here. After seeing the schedule, Lu Tizu's old face became a little slack. The Lu family is like this every year. They are regarded as the weakest family and are the first to face last year's 8th place. Therefore, Shu Emu's opponent in this round is the youngest son of the head of the Chen family, who was ranked 8th last year, Chen Fengxian. This guy has some strength. Last year, he was just preparing for the King Challenge, so his strength is not at its peak yet. This guy has collected 16 gym badges this year, and his spirit has been polished to the extreme. He is just waiting for the challenge to begin. He was ranked 8th last year, and he will only be stronger this year. Boy, are you confident? Lu Tizu's face looked a little solemn. To be honest, he would rather Shu Mu go against the top players from last year than let Shu Mu fight against this Chen Fengxian. Without him, this kid is too evil. Participated in banquets for 3 consecutive years and fought for the Chen family. That strength changes drastically every year, but in just 3 years, he has completed the leap from an outstanding trainer to a peak trainer. Just keep going as planned, I'm fine with it. Shu Mu didn't care what Lu Tizu thought, he was already thinking about small money. He is just a peak trainer. Isn't Yang Qianchen also a peak trainer preparing for the King of Heaven challenge? Shu Mu was different, or had he beaten her? It's not a big problem, just do it. Seeing that Shu Emu's expression didn't change, Lu Tizu could only force himself to calm down. He even secretly blamed himself for not being as good as a child, to be so impatient is outrageous. The battle began, with last year's first contestant from the Lin family taking the lead. The person sent by their family was a middle-aged man with muscles all over his body, who looked to be in his 30s. It should be that I have participated in the King Challenge many times but have never been able to get a place in the top 3, so I have been stuck at this level. However, the strength of this middle-aged muscular man is indeed not bad. During the fight to the death in the ring, this person directly used his own strange power and used Hell Roll at the same time. He used his body to fully perform the Hell Roll, pinning the opposite trainer to the ground and giving him a hug. With the screams, everyone knew that the winner of this match would be this middle-aged muscular man. There was no suspense in the 3 consecutive games, and the muscular man made a perfect curtain call, retaining the honor of the top 8. The next few games were also won by last year's top 8. Not a single upset comeback. It can be seen that these big families have control over this kind of death match game in the arena and have a monopoly on resources. The top 7 of the top 8 have been decided, and next is the highly anticipated Chen Fengxian. This kid was only 19 years old last year, and he had achieved something that many trainers would never be able to achieve in their lifetime. This year, I don't know how much his strength will improve. Chen family, Chen Fengxian. After taking the stage, Chen Fengxian stood alone, looking at the people below with ecstasy, looking like she was the only one who had the upper hand. In his eyes, the next 3 opponents are just appetizers. It completely failed to arouse his interest and desire to fight. Chen Fengxian's goal is to be number 1. Lu family, Xu Mu. Xu Mu walked up to the ring with his neck shaking, and smiled cynically after the staff locked the ring. This kid looks carefree. Is this a helper hired by the Lu family? Chen Fengxian's father was chatting with several other family bosses in the stands. Although he was talking about Xu Mu, the underlying meaning behind his words was to let everyone take a good look and see how outstanding his little son, Old Ghost Chen, was. Old Ghost Chen, if you want to show off your son, just say so. It's not like we can't afford to lose. That's right, Old Ghost Chen, you really gave birth to a good son, tisk tisk tisk. I'm so envious. Being able to have a son is really a skill. I just don't know how you, Mr. Chen, gave birth to such a son when you were almost 50 years old. Several big guys were joking while looking at the ring indifferently. Although I feel sad, I still have to watch it. These big guys are still looking forward to how strong this little monster of the Chen family is. Just take a look, you won't be able to envy my son's excellence. Old Ghost Chen looked proud and raised his head proudly. He looked at the people around him with his nostrils and continued, look at the boy the Lu family is looking for. He will be beaten by my son in less than 3 minutes. Originally, he was just bragging casually, and he didn't actually have much ill will towards the Lu family and Xu Mu. But the speaker has no intention and the listener has intention. Lu Tizu, who had been hiding in the dark and paying attention to all this, heard his words and knew that his opportunity had come. It's my turn to perform. Overjoyed, Lu Tizu jumped out. Then grandson, shut up. Just open your mouth and squirt. Lu Tizu doesn't care about face or anything, he only wants one thing, and that is profit. Only the benefits obtained are the key to the continuation of the Lu family. As for etiquette and face. Sorry, Old Lu, am a rough man. You fool, you are talking nonsense. If your son can beat Xu Mu down within 3 minutes, I will stand on my head and eat shit. One day is not enough for you to scream at. Come on, let me see how good your son is now, and let you show off your skills. Cursing and swearing, Lu Tizu looked like he was on top, his face red and neck thick with anger. Because he yelled so hard, the veins on his neck were exposed, and he looked fierce, which almost calmed these big guys for a while. But, the boss is the boss after all. If Lu Tizu can really be suppressed like this, then he is not worthy of sitting in this position. Old Ghost Chen quickly reacted and shouted angrily. Young man from the Lu family is rude, do you have the right to speak here? Lu Tizu didn't give up at all, he held his neck and said back, I am the head of the Lu family, why don't I have the right to speak? Old Ghost Chen was so angry at Lu Tizu's unwillingness to take it that he couldn't take a breath and choked himself until he coughed. You old guy can't live for more than a few years, so I won't bully you. I'll just say this today. Xu Mu is bound to win. I bet all the assets of the Lu family. This is all kinds of proof, worth 300 million. Just ask Mr. Lu, do you dare to take it? Lu Tizu said with a frown, and threw a stack of asset certificates from various places of the Lu family on the desk of the opening staff. The big guys present didn't care about Old Ghost Chen's reaction at this time, and they quickly looked at each other. Great. The Lu family has rich assets and belongs to a powerful and established family. It's just that in recent years, the descendants have failed to live up to expectations and have been suppressed by these big guys. In terms of background, Lu Tizu can smash 300 million in one go. This is the foundation. They have been greedy for this for more than a day or two. Before, they couldn't do it openly, so they could only suppress the Lu family secretly. Now is your chance. Old Ghost Chen also quickly patted his chest to make his breathing as smooth as possible. Boy from the Lu family, don't regret it. He said Lu Tizu not to regret it, but actually he was ecstatic in his heart. Chen Fengxian is his son, and he knows best what his strength is. In all aspects of being a top trainer, Chen Fengxian is not only one of the best, but he is definitely outstanding. Even if you participate in this King of Heaven challenge, you will definitely get a ranking. Now Lu Tizu obviously couldn't hold himself back anymore. He had been suppressed by himself and others for many years. His old and new grudges were put together and he went straight to the top. There are not many good opportunities like this. Lu Tizu gritted his teeth and looked at old Ghost Chen, his face full of disdain. He has the attitude that I will win. Only a devil would regret it. As he spoke, his eyes unconsciously glanced towards the ring, and this subtle expression was directly seen by several big guys. Immediately, they winked at old Ghost Chen. Catch. Must take this. Lu Tizu, this fool, definitely has no idea at all. Then, old Ghost Chen fell into the trap. Without saying a word, he slapped the table with his big hand, which meant that it was finalized and the matter was settled. Next, it depends on his son Chen Fengxian. It seems that the Lu family has great confidence in you. Seeing the scene in the stands, Chen Fengxian raised a smile and said slowly. Xu Mu smiled kindly. I don't know either. Pretending to be innocent, Xu Mu looked at the referee outside the ring. The referee did not waste any time and waved directly to signal the start of the game. Koga Ninja, Charizard. The moment the referee waved his hand, Xu Mu threw out 2 Pokeballs, then jumped up and landed on the back of the fire-breathing dragon. On the other side, Chen Fengxian was not polite either. The rule of death fighting in the ring is that there are no rules, use all means to be the one standing in the end. Bite the land shark fiercely, the powerful crocodile. Similarly, he also chose to release his 2 main pets, leaving the other elves as backup. In this kind of irregular battle, ordinary trainers would not easily expose all 6 of their elves. Because the area is so large, even if you summon all 6 elves, it may not be effective. On the contrary, it will be chaotic because the trainer is too late to give instructions. Therefore, the method of summoning 2 or 3 elves is generally used to consume the enemy first, defeat the opponent's vitality as much as possible, and consume them bit by bit to death. Koga Ninja, Bond Transformation. Charizard, Mega Evolution. Xu Mu was not polite at all. In this kind of battle where he could die at any time, he did not have the slightest contempt and went all out. Seeing Xu Mu's 2 elves all starting to evolve and transform, Chen Fengxian was stunned, and soon let his biting land shark undergo the Mega Evolution. Bite Land Shark Mega Evolution, Powerful Crocodile Water Cannon. Powerful crocodile tests and interferes with the opponent, while biting land shark uses Dragon Dance to strengthen it as soon as it evolves. This is Chen Fengxian's standard tactic. Relying on this hand, he won the 8th place last year by defeating the strong. This year, he is here to win the championship. However, Xu Mu was not disturbed by the crocodile's water cannon. Although he is on the back of Charizard, this does not affect Charizard's actions at all. Dragon Wave to stop the water cannon, Koga Ninja Frog Shadow Clone Jutsu, and then Water Spiral Shuriken. Xu Mu's Koga Ninja and Charizard have experienced a lot of battles with him. They are not perfect at tactics, but they are still refined. After hearing Xu Mu's order, the 2 elves started directly without any hesitation. Charizard fired his Dragon Wave and sprayed blue energy from his mouth, intercepting the water cannon in the air. At the same time, Koga Ninja quickly formed a seal, and then dozens of spiral water shurikens were fired instantly, heading straight for the biting land shark who was using Dragon Dance. Although only one is the true form, don't be careless about biting the land shark, use protection. Needless to say, Koga Ninja's shadow clone technique has definitely deceived many people. Almost every trainer who sees this move for the first time will subconsciously think that these spiral water shurikens are phantoms. Forcibly stopping the Dragon Dance in the middle, biting land shark quickly used protection to hold up a light green protective cover. Then he continued to accumulate energy in his mouth, preparing to use the dragon stars to attack the fire-breathing dragon. Soon, Lai Jia Lu Shark knew that he was wrong, and it was so wrong. Charizard. But the problem lies in Koga Ninja's shadow clone move. The protection only blocked the first 2 spiral water shurikens, but it couldn't block the following ones. Soon, he tasted the price. The spiral water shuriken containing huge explosive power exploded directly. The water-based attack was fatal to him. Almost instantly, biting land shark's physical strength had bottomed out. But the worst was yet to come, because he had already prepared a move called Long Xingchun in his mouth to counterattack. As a result, because he was attacked, the Dragon Star group failed to launch and exploded directly in his mouth. The Dragon-type energy backfires on the Dragon-type biting land shark, doubling its power. Boom boom boom. A series of explosions sounded, and Leebite land shark fell directly. He glanced at the Koga Ninja one last time with hatred, and then lost consciousness. In less than 10 seconds, Chen Fengxian lost one of his generals, which was hard for him to accept. The people in the stands were even more stunned. Xu Mu is actually so strong. What the hell are those special-looking water shurikens just now? Chen Fengxian's ace elf was actually killed instantly. Who is this kid? Why have I never heard of him before? I thought he was just a passerby Lu Tizu pulled over. A strong sense of shock arose in everyone's hearts, and old Ghost Chen beat the table with his fist angrily. He comforted himself and said, "It's okay, it's just an elf. It's Shu Emu's luck this time. Chen Fengxian can definitely make a comeback." Chen Fengxian was knocked out of the main force, and her whole body was a little sluggish. However, realizing that this was a competition, he had no choice but to release his remaining 4 elves and stand in front of him to prevent Xu Mu from launching a sudden attack next. "What is your background? You can actually defeat my fierce biting land shark in one go." Now Chen Fengxian no longer dares to underestimate Xu Mu. The main force was knocked out with one blow, and he almost lost his proud trump card. However, Xu Mu was too lazy to pay attention to him and smiled calmly when he saw Chen Fengxian releasing all the elves. He is anxious. Koga Ninja, Spiral Water Shuriken, give them a blast. There is no need to be fancy now. The 5 remaining elves in Chen Fengxian are only at the peak of the Heavenly King. After the transformation of Koga Ninja, he was already a master in the early stage. Just crush it with your strength. Charizard, don't be idle anymore, come on, Hot Wind. Kuailong, come out and use reverse scale. After releasing Kuailong, Xu Mu just started the general attack. Facing Xu Emu's powerful attack, although Chen Fengxian resisted with all her strength, it still had no effect. The suppression of strength and the disparity in trainer levels completely put Chen Fengxian in a passive state. If nothing else, he is gone. In the stands, Lu Tizu clenched his fists excitedly and shouted, "Old Ghost Chen, you will definitely lose. Xu Emu's odds are 1-to-1, which means that the 300 million alliance coins that Lu Tizu suppressed will soon double to 600 million. Even if 1/3 is given to Xu Mu, the remaining 200 million is still pure income." Several big bosses looked bitter. What kind of bad luck did Lu Tizu have? Where did he get this weird boy? Snort. Old Ghost Chen snorted coldly, his beard trembling with anger. Unexpectedly, he was tricked by Lu Tizu, an uneducated idiot. What a shame. Who is this Xu Mu? Check his background for me. On the side, a big boss of the Lin family whispered to his subordinates to check on Xu Emu's situation. On the surface, he remained calm, but in his heart, he had another plan. Various families from the 5 northern provinces were present at the scene, so it was hard for him to fall out directly. However, if he was playing tricks, Lu Tizu would be just a child in the eyes of the head of the Lin family. The other big guys had the same idea. They contacted their chief almost at the same time and asked people to start inquiring about Xu Mu. 3 minutes later, Xu Mu defeated all of Chen Fengxian's elves and he won. Seeing Chen Fengxian kneeling on the ground in despair, although Xu Mu was too lazy to say a word to him, the sunny and friendly smile on his face was still radiant. "If you really smile like this, you will lose. Actually, you are very good. I hope you don't get discouraged. We will meet again in the next King of Heaven challenge." Like a close brother, Xu Mu actually came to Chen Fengxian and spoke. Chen Fengxian didn't know the reason. He looked at Xu Mu blankly, not knowing what to say. He originally thought that Xu Mu would humiliate him, but he didn't expect that Xu Mu not only didn't say arrogant words, but seemed to be comforting him. Chen Fengxian was a little confused, but he soon understood. Because Xu Mu continued, "Okay, from the time we started fighting to the time I said that nonsense, it took exactly 3 minutes. Young man, don't you want to defeat me in 3 minutes? What a coincidence, the person who was killed in 3 minutes seems to be you. It turns out that you only had 3 minutes to make me pay so much attention to it before. What a waste of my brain cells to actually take your idiot's words seriously, ah." Xu Mu shook his head and sighed with emotion, and used the killing blow to kill people. This Chen Fengxian is too crazy. His strength is actually not that great. Isn't it just that he has mastered a mega evolution and has a peak-biting land shark? Apart from this, what else does he have? What's there to be proud of? Shu Mu thinks that even Yang Qianqian might be better than this Chen Fengxian. It's not that he looked down on Chen Fengxian, it was mainly because the boy's every move before had barely written the words, "I am a strong man," on his face. The results of it, Shu Mu was easily defeated. That's it. This huge contrast made Shu Mu really unhappy. Even if he won, Shu Mu was a little unhappy. Because he was almost fooled by this rookie, and he really thought he was some powerful guy. So the genius you talk about has this kind of strength. After walking off the ring, Shu Mu looked back at Lu Tizu. Ah, forget it, let's talk about dividing the spoils. A drop of cold sweat broke out from Lu Tizu's forehead. Shu Mu is really crazy. However, it's so crazy. Shu Mu is really awesome. Defeat the peerless genius in your eyes without any surprises, and then calmly ask, is that all? Good guy, the king of forcing kings, this Shu Mu deserves the title. There will be 2 more games in a while. You have to take over from Chen Fengxian to defend the competition. If you win them all, you can enter the quarterfinals. Lu Tizu said, looking at several big guys in the distance from the corner of his eye. He always felt that things were not that simple. Will these big guys give in easily? You were cheated of 300 million by yourself, and then you just shut up. Something's wrong. Shu Mu nodded, drank some water, and returned to the ring. Although the next 2 opponents are also at the level of peak trainers, their strength is just that. One trump card is the giant chrysanthemum in the middle stage of the king, and the other is the giant mantis in the late stage of the king. Shu Mu pushed straight all the way. At this time, people really realized how strong this boy Shu Mu was. Hello, Mr. Shu Mu. Just when Shu Mu walked off the ring to take a rest and wait for the quarterfinals to begin, a middle-aged man in formal attire came to him and came forward with a humble attitude to greet him. Sir, I wonder what reward the Lu family has prepared for you for participating in the competition this time. If I could, I'd give it 5 times as much. Are you here to poach people? Shu Mu smiled. Okay, I just made a big profit and scared these fat sheep away. It was delivered to your door in the blink of an eye. Now it's 100 million. I got 1/3 of the money the Lu family won before. If you give me 5 times, that's fine. If you give me 500 million, I'll lose right away. How about that? The middle-aged man obviously couldn't make his own decision. After getting Shu Mu's reply, he took out his mobile phone and started to contact the big boss behind him. Then several big guys started communicating. Shu Mu, a little native from Fengcheng, has a really big appetite. Promise him first. We will crush the Lu family to death first, and then deal with this little native. That's right. A mere peak trainer actually dares to ask for 500 million. It's just a dream. If you have a life to get money, this kid must also have a life to spend it. Chen Fengxian fell, and Shu Mu's next opponent was a player from the Lin family. Lu Tizu's excitement had not faded yet, and he looked at Shu Mu expectantly. Shu Mu's move just now has proven his strength. Lu family, there is something going on at this gathering. Clenching his fists, Lu Tizu wished he could give his fat boy 2 slaps. Good boy, if you have a classmate like this, why didn't you tell me earlier? It's all the virtue I accumulated for you by eating fast and chanting Buddha's name. Otherwise, how could you have such a good classmate? As he kept thinking in his heart, Lu Tizu seemed to see the glory of the Lu family reappearing in his hands. On the ring, Shu Mu looked at the players of the Lin family and smiled charitably. Yes, this smile is charity, even a little bit compassionate. Game start. The referee gave the order and the game started. The player from the Lin family looked proud and said, "Boy, you're done." It was a normal provocation. No one felt there was anything wrong with this sentence, including Lu Tizu off the court. At this time, the boss of the Lin family suddenly stood up. He pointed at Lu Tizu and coughed lightly. "Tizu, you won a lot just now." Lu Tizu didn't know why. Shu Mu had already shown such strong combat effectiveness. If nothing unexpected happened, he would not accept his large bet against Shu Mu at the opening of the market. But what does old man Lin mean by these words now? Could it be that he felt bad for losing just now and wanted to win back? The Lin family is indeed the family with the largest stake in the banker this time, so it is not unreasonable if he wants to win back. But the problem is, Shu Mu is so strong, the player that Old Man Lin found obviously can't beat Shu Mu. Why is he still like this? Did you send money to yourself on purpose? A series of questions arose in Lu Tizu's mind, and he couldn't help but look at Shu Mu in confusion. Shu Mu also turned around and gave Lu Tizu a reassuring look. Seeing Shu Mu's response, Lu Tizu no longer hesitated. It's not a big problem, just do it. Why, Lao Lintu, you haven't lost enough and you still want to continue with me. The 4 words, publicity and domineering, are perfectly suitable to describe Lu Tizu's current state. He raised his head arrogantly, with a look of disdain on his face. Seeing this, old Lintu also smiled. Just kidding, I have secretly bribed your thugs for a high price of 500 million. You, a young man, are still too immature. That's right, I think our Lin family's Cheng Kun will win this round. How about we have some fun? When Lu Tizu heard this, he agreed without any hesitation. Okay, is there anyone else who doesn't agree to the gift of money? Okay, if you don't accept it, we'll continue. He looked at Old Man Lin arrogantly and threw the bank card he had just won containing 300 million alliance coins on the table. 300 million, if you win, I will pay you back, but if you lose, tut tut tut. 300 million, even if it is shared among various families, it is still a large expenditure. If Lu Tizu wins again this time, it will be a full 600 million alliance coins. I am afraid that all the big families in the 5 northern provinces will be greatly affected. Don't say that everyone is rich and powerful, and they don't need this little money. They do have money, but in fact most of their money is real estate or family assets. The opening money is the working capital on hand of each big boss. The opening of this party can be regarded as an extra income for the big bosses. It was originally a matter of making pocket money. Unexpectedly, Lu Tizu directly gambled his entire fortune on Shu Mu. Taking away 300 million from the big guys at once, the results can be imagined. This is also the reason why Mr. Lin promised Shu Mu in advance to pay him 500 million yuan. Face is one aspect. Mainly because they really want to win it back. As for Shu Mu's money, haha, they won't give it. Okay, 300 million, I'll accompany you, but I'll add another 200 million. Mr. Lin smiled softly and glanced at Shu Mu secretly. Shu Mu also had a reassuring expression on his face. The price was increased to 500 million, which was also to stabilize Shu Mu's heart. Old Man Lin told Shu Mu clearly that we want to save face, and the 500 million one this time will be yours. Although he was lying, he thought Shu Mu couldn't tell. Just a little kid, fighting with an old man like myself. 500 million, okay, I'll accompany you. Lu Tizu was not timid at all and followed directly. Mr. Lin, don't worry. We've made inquiries and found out that Shu Mu and Lu Tizu didn't know each other before. He was a classmate of Lu Tizu's son, so he was fooled here. A subordinate came back from outside to report the situation. His words were like a reassurance, directly making Mr. Lin confident that he would win. Ha ha ha, okay. Raising his head and laughing, Mr. Lin looked at Lu Tizu proudly and felt cruel in his heart. I must swallow this piece of fat from the Lu family this time. Winning 200 million from Lu Tizu is only the first step. There is more to do next. The follow-up plan has already taken shape in Mr. Lin's mind, and now he is waiting for Shu Mu to turn against him and fake the match. Then, idiot, the smile gradually became stiff, and Old Man Lin looked at the ring with shock on his face. What's the situation? In the ring, Shu Mu and Cheng Kun, who was recruited by the Lin family, had already started fighting. Shu Mu's Koga Ninja took action directly, blasting his opponent with 1 against 6. Dozens and hundreds of spiral sailor swords were fired in unison, leaving Cheng Kun no chance at all. Shu Mu immediately completed the instant kill. Therefore, Mr. Lin is stupid. Does this kid not want to live? He doesn't think Lu Tizu can keep him, does he? You dare to lie to me, he's tired of living. Elder Lin roared crazily in his heart, but on the surface he could not say anything and could only stare at Shu Mu fiercely. If looks could kill, I'm afraid Shu Mu would have died countless times by now. Old Man Lin, don't look at me like that, I don't believe you will really give me 500 million. Shu Mu spread his hands and expressed his helplessness. Really? Don't take me for a fool, okay. Lu Tizu jumped up excitedly. Another 500 million, he had already 800 million won today. Even if 1/3 is given to Shu Mu, the remaining more than 500 million will be enough for the Lu family's development in the next few years. Come to the party this time, ask Shu Mu for help, and make a lot of money. With these 500 million, it doesn't matter even if Shu Mu loses in the next game. He has earned enough and is full. It has to be Shu Mu, this guy is really capable of great things. When it came to doing something big, one of Mr. Lin's men came back, and he leaned next to the furious Mr. Lin. Master, we have checked. This Shu Mu's identity is not as simple as it seems. He is the son-in-law of Kyle, the chief of Western Europe. This matter has been spread in the West. Old man Lin's eyes widened and he fainted. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.